Hello, hello and welcome to another live. So today I finished watching the Y-Files video, and he'd done one on the Anunnaki. So I did send the Y-Files a few emails or messages on his home page. Now, if you don't know who the Y-Files is, I'm just waiting for new people to join. Just started this live. So the Y-Files is a guy and his fish, and they do really good entertaining programs. Unfortunately, he got onto one that I know a huge amount about, and so I sent messages on some of his videos saying, look, I hear you're going to be doing an Anunnaki video. If you want help, please ask. I'm happy to help. Of course, didn't get a reply, so I watched his video. Hi Donna, thank you Donna. How are you? Yeah, I can't help it. I'm just stressed over the video that he done, because in 2 days he got like 2 million views, which means those 2 million people are all going to be saying that I'm wrong because they listen to him. Now this isn't nothing personal, it never is. I know people say, oh, you moan at Billy or you moan at whoever. I do it because I just want the truth out there. So anyway, if you've not watched his video, or if you have, you've probably noticed his is different to my stories, my videos. The problem with his is he didn't show any evidence. Literally, that was the first problem. It was just him saying things. Oh, and the Anunnaki did this, and Sitchin did that. That was it. There was no, that I could knock out videos all day long doing that. But obviously I don't, because I have to go and find the evidence to prove what I'm talking about. So unfortunately, the Y-Files just basically. It looks like he took the information from other researchers that are really bad, that I've already debunked countless times. And so because of that, at the end of his video, which he really should have put at the beginning, but at the end of the video he said that it was Zecharia Sitchin that is where pretty much most of the information comes from. That is a complete lie. Or if it's not a lie, he's a numpty. And I like his programs, but I just don't like, me, I don't like people that don't do the homework properly. I have to. So I'd already done a video, which is on my website, it's on YouTube, it's on TikTok, called The Lost Book of Our True History, where I use other sources to back up Zecharia Sitchin without using Zecharia Sitchin. In other words, there is the evidence that Zecharia Sitchin got was from other people, whereas the Y-Files has basically said, no, it's all from Zecharia Sitchin making it up. That's literally what he's saying. And of course, I've done a 3-hour documentary backing up Zecharia Sitchin, and you've probably seen other videos where I'm showing museums, etc., lectures from museums where they're actually telling the truth and backing up Zecharia Sitchin. So, and then he went on to say that the Ajiji were another alien race, which I've, again, in that same long documentary I've done, I've proved that. Thank you, Kerry. I've proved that the Ajiji were just the younger gods, the younger Anunnaki. I've proved that, and so even in the Bible, it's the sons of God, not an alien race of God. So, unfortunately, I'm going to have to do a very long video. His video is about an hour long, and literally everything he says is wrong. He says that King Anu's name isn't King Anu. He says that it was Enlil that found the gold here on Earth first, not Alula. Because then, if that's the case, then the whole story of Alula and Anzu and everything else is all completely gone, which it's not, obviously. So he just, I don't know where he got his information from. It's just, I have people on these lives where they tell me, the Anunnaki's this and the Anunnaki's that. But he's just gone off on another level there. I don't know why he done that. So I'm going to end up doing all of that, or long video. Anyway, to the questions. So this is live. I've just started. So sorry if I have a little rant, but you know what I'm like. I'm very, very, someone called me a liar, or someone doesn't do the homework and makes up stuff. I get very passionate about, as you guys know, and that's not because I'm being nasty to them. It's just don't do the crime, and he's done the crime, and now he's got to pay for it by me doing a video showing the whole of his. And the problem then is if I now do a video and it hopefully gets successful, only because I want it successful, so that people don't keep saying to me that I'm wrong because of watching his. But that means his videos are now, people's going to be thinking, is any of his videos actually got any evidence in them? Is any of his videos going to be telling the truth? So that's my problem, which he's now going to have. I didn't want him to do an Anunnaki one, because I said I will do a video if you do it wrong. So I'm happy to help, but he didn't ever get back to me. I'm sure he reads the comments. I know he has a lot of viewers, but he pays people to actually do the research for him as well. So they just literally must have just, I don't know. Trevor's wrote, evening people. Hi Trevor, nice of you to join. Nikki Lees wrote, hello sweethearts. Ah, thank you Nikki, that's very nice of you to say. We're all good here hopefully. KD has wrote, nice work man, thank you. Yeah, I mean the video's out there already that debunks his version of it. I've already done that, it's on YouTube, etc. Thank you Rosie. So all he had to do was watch my video, because I actually point to evidence, you know I do. But he didn't do that, so now I've got to sit and spend tomorrow, my day off, doing a video to prove that even though I've already got a video out there, but now breaking down his one to show where he's wrong, so that I just don't get people coming to me telling me I'm wrong. Nikki Lee has wrote, I found out today that the Vatican produced the Bible. If that's the case, I would have thought the Bible would have been older than that. Because the Bible, from what I understood, was starting to be written anywhere from 100 or 30 years after Jesus to a few hundred years after Jesus. And as far as I'm aware, the Vatican wasn't that old, but again, I might be wrong. So, but I have said that one of the Anunnakis created the Vatican. I mean, you don't have the pine cone at the front of the Vatican and the Anunnaki holding the exact same pine cone. And I've done graphics actually turning the pine cone that the Anunnaki hold and superimposing it over the pine cone in the front of the Vatican, and they're both identical, absolutely identical. Match size, obviously the scaled up version of the one the Anunnakis hold, but it's identical. So when you've got Anunnakis holding this, what looks like a pine cone, and the Vatican has it, and the Vatican's in Rome, and the Anunnaki were in Rome, and it's set up to be able to, control people and everything else. It has to be one of the Anunnakis for sure. Gregory Leon has wrote, Ajiji look very much like Greys, TBH. No, they don't. We've actually got carvings of. This is why I didn't want him doing that video, because now he put AI graphics in on what he thought the Ajiji looked like. And it's just ridiculous. When we actually have carvings of the Ajiji, they were young Anunnaki. They didn't have beards. We've got carvings of them. Museums got carved. Museums call them the Ajiji. So it's not me making up and saying, oh look, there's some people, let's pretend that they're the Ajiji. It's written, but sometimes underneath the actual carvings of who the carving is of. So when you say, sorry Gregory, I don't mean to sound rude, but when you say the Ajiji look very much like the Greys, if you actually want to go with evidence, because obviously thank you whoever that was that just sent me the gift thing, whatever that was. Sorry, I literally just caught it. So, Gregory, if you actually want to, because you've never seen them, you've never seen them, so you're going to go off of other people. You've got a choice. You can go off other people that just talk, like you've just done to me, or, and I'm not being rude, or go to my website and you'll find out exactly who they are. Go to my website, ourtruthhistory.com. Oh, thank you, Darkoda. Thank you. That's very nice of you. So go, anyone that wants evidence of the Anunnaki and the Gigi, etc., just go to my website, outruhistory.co.uk, scroll down to where it says click here in big blue letters. It's all you have to do. Then you realise that the greys, they don't look like greys. They do not. Do you know how they don't look like greys? Because when Noah was born, or Ziazudra, he even got the guy's name wrong. He called him Upanishtam. Upanishtam the name didn't change until hundreds, if not 1,000 years later. His original name was Ziazudra. So clearly, the Y-Files has just done my head in, to be honest with you. Sorry, yeah, just go watch that video with evidence, and that ends that. Woke has wrote, can I join? I'm very passionate about this subject. I do have a sort of a rule type offer that I do have a Patreon page which has over 150 long documentaries on all sorts of things that you'll never find the answers anywhere else. And on the higher tier, if people are on the higher tier, then I let them up on this live chat. So forgive me, it's nothing personal. It's just a sort of a thank you or an extra thing for the higher tier that pay a couple of £1 to watch those amazing documentaries, and the comments I get is phenomenal. You know, and that's what keeps me going, to be honest. The people that are patrons watch those videos and say blinding comments. I get them personally. They put comments up on the actual thing, but they also send me private messages, which is lovely. Woke has wrote, first person I found that covers all these subjects. Thank you very much. So I have I was just reading the next bit. Yeah, so just in case you're interested, I have done 40 years of research on this. Sorry, Clark, just go, take it, go. So I've been doing 40 years. I'm the only one that's actually done the proper family tree of the Anunnaki, and I mean properly, because I show where the other ones are wrong. So there's no family tree out there that's anywhere close to mine. Basically, the bottom line is, yes, I am an expert. You know, even, do you know, what was it? The other day I was doing a live and someone said something about Jesus, and I said, oh, go watch my Jesus video on who Jesus' real father is. They never come back. They never ever come back. In other words, they either watch the videos and realise I'm right, or they have zero faith in their own beliefs and don't watch my video in case I'm right, which I am, obviously. So yeah, welcome to my live. Woke has wrote, no, I've only just heard this person doing this TikTok live. Yeah. So you don't have to go to my Patreon page. I have a website, outruhistory.co.uk. It's got loads of videos on there. Things you'll never ever, like the Nazca mountain range. I show with as much evidence as I can that the sliced off 28 kilometres of a sliced off top of a mountain in between other mountains that are not sliced off. I show why that would have been sliced off. That was the mountain range that had gold, and you're going to say gold, and I'll say yes, it does actually have gold, and I show the evidence in the video. So little things like that answers. I answer so many questions. So feel free to watch any of the videos or just ask questions here. Nikki's wrote, you ran away, sir. We know how passionate you are. Oh, thank you, Nikki. Thank you. Yeah, it's you. Yeah, you probably guessed by now. Sometimes I think of myself as Superman. Don't I know you're going to say, but you're a god. How can you be Superman? No, you know, like in Truth and Justice, I am very, very staunch on that. I'm, you know, and I want the truth, and so that's why it kills me. This is where TikTok does its normal thing. Some comments in this live were filtered to protect the community's experience. In other words, they blocked me again. So we're going to get about 50 people in the total as usual. In fact, there was a survey they sent me the other day and said, would you mind filling the survey in? Oh, they must do it to everyone out. But I filled it in and I kept putting down, you do realise that you filter me and there's no reason why you should filter me. Unless it's, you know, a biased thing or something that you don't know. Basically, yeah, so I had a right go at them, whether they read it or not. Rosie's wrote, hi, Our True History. Hi, everyone. Nice of you to join, Rosie. Thank you. Gregory's wrote, I've seen a ton of Anunnaki videos. One video just adds to the proof of information, not debunks. So unfortunately, how do I say this? Well, I don't know if you know, follow me or anything. You don't follow me. So what you watch when you say adds to the evidence, what you watch of other people's videos is just people making up stuff, and you know, in all due respect, they are. Or they're copying Zachariah Sitchin's word for word, which actually Zachariah Sitchin had copied the translations off of the Moorhen collection. So, unfortunately, the how do I say this? Well, there's only one person that is the best at the Anunnaki at the moment, and that's me. I know it sounds really bad, and you're going to say, oh, but there's people out there that may know, you know, intricate things that I may not know, you know, like artifacts, etc. But as the general story, with the evidence, I am the best out there. Sorry, just... Nicky Lees wrote, yes, sir, they decided which books would go in there. Read that too. All right, okay, that's interesting. That is interesting. So that was to do with the Bible being written by or made by the Vatican. That's very interesting. Jane has joined. Hi, Jane. Nice of you to join. Hope you're well. Haven't seen you for a while. Nicky Lee has wrote, oh yes, the Vatican would have evidence there of ancient Anunnaki. It's 52 miles long of information. Yeah. Yeah, that's. I mean, yeah, you probably guessed it was something to do with the Anunnaki. They don't have... Thank you, Cheryl. That's very nice of you. The Vatican don't have two, if not more now, telescopes pointing up for God. No one does that. But they do have telescopes pointing up into space. And, of course, the Anunnaki... you know, the funny thing is, I think about this sometimes. The Anunnaki obviously had space travel. The Anunnaki were the ones that gave us 13 months, then 12. So they knew calendars, and they knew where you know, planets should be and their orbits, etc. So why all the fascination still right down to, you know, Jesus period and Stonehenge and things like that? Why make calendars if they know? Why have the Vatican have, if the Vatican is part of the Anunnaki, why have telescopes? Because they must know. But the thing is, I think it's to do with when, as it was with the Great Flood, which I've done a video. If anyone's interested in the evidence of the Great Flood, there's a video on my Patreon page. It's free of charge. You don't even have to sign up. Just click Our True History on patreon.com or type in Our True History and click collections and then click free. It's an hour-long documentary that will blow your mind. Yeah, sorry, I digressed, didn't I? I keep doing that. Sorry, my bad. Gregory's wrote, the Roman Empire is... Sorry, in 324, put the Bible together. The Vatican just continued the flavouring nonsense. Yeah, so unfortunately, I don't know where the Bible come from. I've not looked into that, so I'll have to take you guys' word for that. Woke Minds has wrote, do you practice CE5 or any other spiritual practices to communicate with higher beings and ETs? I don't, and the reason why is while you know you can forget Bashar. He's basically just a researcher that's doing exactly what I do, but closes his eyes and pretends. I've caught him out a few times, so. As far as I know, there's no channelers, so we can sort of rule the connection that way out, because anyone that I've seen, I've debunked properly, you know, as I do. So then that just leaves the odd Dr. Stephen Greer going out, you know, looking up with a laser, pointing it, or all thinking of a star, or looking at a star, and then suddenly that star moves. The reason why I wouldn't ever bother doing a C5 is, let's imagine... ants are all sitting there going, oh, look at that giant, he's walking past. If only he could just kick us that apple, it would save us a lot of trouble. Or if only he could just stop for a second and look at us. That's what we are to them. They're there flying around. Obviously, we're not their home planet. So the ones here are working. The ones on the moon are working. They're not having a joyride. You know, we've got a tank full of gas. Let's go and see if there's any humans that want us to communicate with them. And Oh, by the way, just before we communicate with them, let's abduct someone and do some horrific tests on them, and then drop them back. And then go grab some cattle and do cattle mutilations. But there's someone over there that wants to chat to us, so we'll just it won't work like that. That's the reason why I wouldn't bother doing it for ETs. Spirits differently, yes, but not extraterrestrials. I wouldn't bother because how sad do they have to be to wait around for someone to say, okay, I'm now got to talk to you. Can you come and communicate in some way? Just I can't see it. Kerry's wrote, hi Clark darling. He's gone luckily now. Wokus wrote, what do you mean the Greys don't look like the Greys? Because there are different types of hybrids. No, sorry. Someone said the Ajiji look like the Greys. So the Ajiji are the sons of the Anunnaki. The Ajiji is just another name for... so the Anunnaki's name, the full name of their race, has to be gods because it's written absolutely everywhere. So what's left is... team names. So they were given team names. One is Anunnaki, which is those that came from heaven to earth, and the other is... Sorry, as I keep talking, I keep thinking back to the bloody Y-Files baloney that he done, where he's saying, there's no such thing as Nibiru. I've done a video on Nibiru. Anyway, sorry, yeah. So the Ajiji are just the younger Anunnaki. That's all they are. They're not... but there are different types of greys out there, as you probably know. Dion, forgive me if I pronounced that wrong. What's your view on dinosaurs or the Jurassic hoax? So I've done a video, a genius video, because I'm quite good. It's on my Patreon page, but I would quite happily tell you because I did it on the Patreon page because it was a long documentary and I spent time doing it, and the Patreon page is only a couple of pounds, but. So basically, there's people out there that say no such thing as dinosaurs because we didn't know about them before, say, 200 odd years ago. And in my beautiful documentary, I said, okay, let's imagine so I looked at when the first museum was, and it was pretty much a British museum. So let's imagine some farmer, and he's farming in Spain, and he comes along and comes across this massive dinosaur bone. And he thinks, what the hell's that? So he pulls it out 200-300 years ago. And he's looking at his dinosaur bone. It's massive. Don't know what to do with it. He decides to make a phone call. Oh, no, wait. No phones. Oh, well, he sends an email. Oh, no, wait, there's no emails. All right, so he sends a letter. To who? No museums yet. Okay. So what does he do? He moves it out of the way, leaves it buried, whatever he needs to do, and cracks on with his work. That is as simple as it is. Because back then there was no one to tell. Who are you going to tell? You may tell your friend next door and a few people locally, but you're not going to tell a newspaper. It's just a big thing stuck in the ground. So I believe dinosaur bones are real, and it's not just. The thing is with people is they say that it was set up as a hoax, and they're either giant chicken bones or they're all plaster of Paris because museums don't like showing the real bones. Now they do in some instances, but the logic is, they share the dinosaur bones, so they make plaster casts of them, and then another museum can have the same dinosaur, but a fake bone, so that they can display it. And of course, silly people that don't believe in dinosaurs say, aha, it's plaster of Paris, so therefore there's no dinosaurs. Therefore, all the normal people, nothing to do with archaeologists, that stumble across dinosaur bones, they're also lying. And so then you get this whole conspiracy of people making up dinosaur bones for a bit of a giggle, and then creating these museums around it so that we can then put these dinosaur bones in. And that's without the fact that Indian temples, Mayan temples, stones, the Ica stones, the Canberra figurines all show dinosaurs that predate before we even knew about putting the skeletons together. So yeah, dinosaurs are real. And how stupid when we've got a wow. Look at the size of a wow. Look at the size of an elephant. They're massive, especially African elephants. Huge. And so what? That's it. Because we don't want dinosaurs, therefore the biggest creature on Earth is an elephant. That's it. We'll leave it at that. Just because we don't want. It's crazy. It's crazy to think that it's only going to be elephants. I mean, the Bible even talks about the behemoth, which was the tower was the size of a cedar tree. It was a sauropod, 4 legs. Harris has wrote Golden Friedia Fazbear. Have no idea what that means, I'm afraid. Probably some silly thing. Harris has then wrote, talk about Bill Gates and Purple Guy. I'm not a fan of Bill Gates. I've said it many, many times. I don't trust him. I don't trust what he's offering. I don't trust his food. I don't trust his meat. I don't trust his computers. I don't trust him at all. And I think there's an agenda. And I don't trust his association with companies where he makes money while people get something in the arms. And I don't trust it all. Piggle Lines wrote, the truth is out there. It is indeed, says Scully. Harris was right. They definitely got this. This guy definitely knows the truth. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Let's Not has wrote, hi everyone. Hi, Let's Not. Nice of you to join. Scrolling down. Mikhail's wrote, so glad I've caught the best live on this app. Hello everybody. These are the comments that keep me going. These are the comments that while I'm watching the Wi-Fi's debauchery, however you pronounce that word, mess up of Anunnaki, knowing that he got 2 million views in 2 days, and I'm going to have some of those people saying to me that I'm wrong because they watched him and because they believe him. Obviously, they see his face and stuff like that. It's annoying. Kelly's put clapping hands. Thank you, Kelly. Nikki's wrote, Sir, is their planet bigger or smaller than ours? So the researchers that's looked into it say that it was 4 to 10 times the size of Earth. And it's based off of various things, based off of descriptions from the Hopi Indians. It's based off of descriptions of what Nibiru did to Earth when it was at its closest, which shook Earth and caused earthquakes, etc. And so if in other words, Mars affects our oceans, apparently, according to mainstream, and Mars is smaller than Earth. So if you go that further out, because it's called Bohr's law, so each distance away from the sun, it has to be twice the distance away from the next planet. So in other words, there's a gap between Jupiter and Mars where there should be a planet, which was Tiamat, but unfortunately Tiamat got smashed up and it's just an asteroid belt. But occasionally, every 3,600 years, Nibiru comes round, and obviously if Nibiru is 10 times the size, we don't know the mass of it, but if it's 10 times the size, and if Mars affected Earth or affects Earth, then it's possible, if both Earth and Nibiru were sort of as closest as they could be in their orbits to each other, then it could affect Earth. Which is why I did a little video saying I think it's possible that Nibiru is the one that stripped Mars of his atmosphere, because if Nibiru can cause an ice shelf to break off and earthquakes here, then it could have quite easily, because bearing in mind it would be a lot nearer to Mars than it would be Earth, and bearing in mind Mars is a lot smaller than Earth, I reckon Nibiru was the one that stripped the atmosphere away. Sorry, scrolling on. Wokers wrote, they want us to reach out to evolve spiritually and be one with the universe, how they are too. I'm guessing was that you talking about the... Right, let's go through it. There's only two that you could be talking about. One is the Ajiji, there's no way the Ajiji want us to be spiritually awakened. So they're basically just the sons of the Anunnaki. And then you've got, which are now older, by the way, so they're not sons anymore as such. And then you've got the Greys. So if you're referring to the Greys, the ones that come and take us and genetically modify us and create hybrids, I would say no, they're not trying to spiritually awaken us, otherwise they wouldn't be doing their hybridization program, which we know is a fact because we've got people that have had children removed from their stomachs, and medical have no idea how it's been done, doctors, etc. So, and then they have, regression or hypnosis, and then they find out that they've had a baby and definitely was taken by aliens. So, no to the only ones that might want us to spiritually evolve would be, if they're real, Palladians or the Nordics. All the others, even the little Zetas, wouldn't want us to spiritually evolve. Wokers wrote, it's very real thing, CE5. Oh, so you was referring to the Greys. No, they wouldn't. It's been proven. I've made contact on a number of occasions with a Grey. And then you wrote, it's very real thing. Obviously repeated that. And then you wrote, we're more than capable to communicate with them if we learn to tap into the right energy. So when you say you communicated with a Grey, bearing in mind the Orion Greys are half android, so I'm guessing you're now going to say it's the Zeta Greys. And I don't know if you know anything about Project Serpo, but when you realise what the Greys did with the... If the stories are true from Project Serpo, there's no way they would want to spend time chatting to someone individually. So I'm not saying you're lying or anything. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, from my perspective, I'd love to know what happened when you contacted the Grey. What did it say? Oh, don't forget to bet on the lottery, or did it say, hey, I'm a Grey, in your head, because otherwise you'd need visually to see it to know that it was a Grey instead of a Palladian, for example. So let's narrow it down. Let's assume that they didn't say, hey, I'm a Grey, because they don't call themselves Greys. So we don't, whatever another race calls us, we probably don't call ourselves that name. So let's take it from that you would need to have seen them to understand that it was a Grey. And so that then means you would have either had to have seen them in your head, in which case it could have just been your imagination. I'm not knocking you, I'm just saying this is how I work. I go through everything until the final conclusion comes out. So if you saw them in your head, then you can't be 100% sure that it's what you actually saw, because I could close my eyes right now and imagine a Grey. I'll probably imagine a gorgeous woman, but then let's pretend I could manage to get away from the gorgeous woman and imagine it's a Grey. So then when you say you was in contact with a Grey, then it leaves to make sure there's no ambiguity, then it leaves you physically seeing a Grey. So in other words, a Grey took out time of its day, to come and see you, and then what? Just waved and then go away, or did it actually give you any insight to anything, like, oh, I'll go listen to tomorrow's live chat with a guy called Our True History is amazing. Do you see what I mean? So it's when you break it down, and that's how I get my amazing research. I break everything down to its constituent parts, and then what's left is... So I'd like you to let me know, and I'm not doing this facetiously or anything at all. This is just how I work. So if you could let me know when you say, let me just reread that, I've made contact on a number of occasions. So I would like to know how you know it was a Grey, and what they actually said, because isn't it? You could say, well, I saw a UFO fly in the sky. That's a different matter. Then you wouldn't know that it's a Grey. So I'm just curious to know how you've got to that conclusion. Woke Minds Alike has wrote, you should practice it. You would be surprised, as long as your intentions are pure. Thank you for that. Nikki's wrote, so sir, you named two mammals in comparison to dinosaurs. So how do you know they were egg layers? Yeah, I mean, I was referring to a wow and an elephant because they were large animals. So I'm guessing you're saying that where dinosaurs would have been lizards. Now, we're not sure. I guess we're not sure that all of them would have been lizards because obviously you had sauropods that would have been in the vein of a mammal as opposed to a lizard or reptile. So, and obviously if they all died out, which they have now, then it's hard for me to say one way or another that an elephant wasn't a reptilian, if you get what I'm saying. So you know what I'm saying. It's sauropods would have been similar to elephants as opposed to a reptilian or reptile. Bill Gates, Nikki's right. Bill Gates' father was the same, always doing things to people. Yeah, he was in charge of the population, if I'm not mistaken, his father, which worries me because they... Kurment has wrote shadow people. So my research on shadow people has led me to the conclusion, now I may be wrong, to the conclusion that shadow people don't acknowledge... There's difference between hatmen and shadow people. So the shadow people don't seem to acknowledge the people in the room or people that's seeing them, even though the people that see them think that they've acknowledged them, and they do a runner. The people do a runner because obviously when you see a shadow, you probably do a runner. So people seem to do a runner. Now my take on the shadow people is that it seems to be an after image of something that may have happened already, or is about to have, or will happen in the future. I know I've given this story before, but I'll give it again. It's a brilliant story, and this was on Coast to Coast. Someone was telling the story on Coast to Coast, and he swears that this was a true story. But basically, him and his two brothers went to go and see their mum one day, and they went in and they saw a shadow where their mum normally sits watching TV on this rocking chair, and the shadow turns and looks at them, and the three guys just run, just boot it. Anyway, long story short, a few years later, the mum sadly passes away. Nothing to do with the shadow image, and the day of the funeral comes, and I've actually got it round the wrong way, I think. Actually, I've got it round the wrong way. Yeah, I've got it round the wrong way. Forgive me. So, but basically, the mum... So yeah, it's round the wrong way. So the mum should have started with the mum looks and sees three shadows, and then the shadows run out the room, and then around the time of the funeral, the three boys go back in and see the shadow of the mum looking. So that's my take on shadow people, even though I completely bodged that up. Nikki's wrote, the people who tell you that they are wrong are the same people who thought the end of the world was yesterday. Yeah, I mean, I did say if anything happens, it would be because of the elites doing bad things. But I didn't think the world was going to end. As I said many a time, I said there's always an eclipse every second of the day. Do you know some person said that? No, there's not. I couldn't believe it. Not necessarily on Earth, I did say that you have to be in the right position. Curve Mentors wrote, I've had really weird experience with shadow people. What do you think they were doing to me? So did it have a hat? Did it have eyes, glowing eyes of any colour, red or whatever? And do you think they acknowledged you? Be interested to know. Baz has wrote Planet X, the Night of Planets, super subject. So Planet 9 would have been, Planet X would have been Nibiru, is what the original name for NASA calling it, before Zecharia Sitchin had named it and worked out the name of it. So I think Sitchin was the first person to actually work out the name of it. Now, we do have tablets that are not Sitchins that do tell us about Nibiru and Nibiru. So in other words, it's just spelt slightly different to what translation Sitchin done. And so I've done a video on my Patreon page where I look at all the terminology every time the Anunnaki mention the word Nibiru, and they even had a shrine to Nibiru here on Earth. So, hello. So I think, with just that video alone, I think I proved that the Anunnaki were referring to. That's without even going to the story of Adapa, where Adam from Adam and Eve was on their planet and got sent home, sent back to his Earth, as King Anu said. Monier's wrote, no questions today, just here to let... Oh, bless you, thank you. You may hear me moaning about the Y-Files video on the Anunnaki because it was appalling. Absolutely appalling. No evidence shown. Just him just coming out with a load of crap and blaming Zachariah Sitchin. Where, if anyone's interested in... Go to my website, scroll down, click here. And I've already proved that Zachariah Sitchin was 100% correct from other sources. Kermit wrote, there was 3 of them. Interesting. Let's not... I missed the name. Project what? Can anyone relay? So that was Project Serpo. Serpo. So Project Serpo. If anyone remember Close Encounters of the Third Kind, where there was an exchange program at the end of the film, that film is based off Project Serpo, which happened before. So basically, Spielberg had Jacques Vallée in Close Encounters of the Third Kind, who was, some say, the godfather of ufology. And so, if anyone knew about Project Serpo, it would have been Jacques Vallée. And so, all he would have had to have done is told Spielberg, "Wow, there was an exchange program," and Spielberg then writes the script and makes the movie. But look it up; it's a fascinating story. I mean, the whistleblowers and so-called people that actually went there have testified and things. So go look it up. It's a huge story that explains what they're. That they have 2 planets and stuff, which is interesting because the crop circle that was formed with the Gray's head. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that. There was a crop circle with a Gray's head and a disc underneath it, which had binary code. But there was also, so that was a Gray's head, but also there was a reply to the Arecibo telescope. Or Arecibo message. So we sent out a message on, I think it was Voyager, that had, where we come from, what we look like, what we're made of, what planet we're on, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And we got a reply in a crop circle. And it basically said that they're from a planet that has two planets. They're split on 2 planets, which, funny enough, so did Project Serpo people say. They're silicon-based. Now, most people say that when they see the Zetas, they walk like octopuses would walk. In other words, no bones. So basically, it all matches. So if that crop circle was fake, they knew, they knew as much as you could possibly know about the Zetas. Chances are it probably wasn't fake, in my opinion. Kerry's wrote, is there a certain number of times Nibiru comes around before it causes major problems to Earth? It's a brilliant question. Go number 2 in the class for that. Brilliant question. So it's there's a set pattern, obviously, that we go round. There's a set pattern that it goes round. Sitchin said it's speeding up over time, which is possible. Now, the difference between 1 year or 5 years is where Earth is, because in 1 year, or half of a year, we're now the other side, obviously, which is why we get summer and stuff like that. So it depends on where they're when they come round and where we are. So I'm not an expert on orbits, but you can probably guess that every now and then, as you say, more than likely, we will both end up being close together. That's all I can really say on that. But yeah, it's a good question. L Blockers wrote, hello, Sel. Oh, thank you, comment. Thank you. L Blockers wrote, hello, Sel. What is the name of the planet that needed our gold and is still needed? If not, why not? So the planet's name is Nibiru. That's the translation that Sakurai Sitchin got. However, the tablets that I've read, other translators have been calling it Nibiru. So when people say, oh, there's no such thing as Nibiru, there's Nibiru, which I've already mentioned, that I've done videos showing all the times that Nibiru is mentioned. It's basically referring to their planet. So Nibiru means crossing of planets, something similar to that. And that's because, why do you think that is? That's because it crossed where Tiamat was and smashed in, and that's why it's called Nibiru, because it's a planet of crossing. That's the planet. It's in our solar system. Mainstream agree that there may be a planet here in our solar system. They say it's about the size of Earth, but I have a feeling it's bigger. Has to be bigger because it smashed into Tiamat and won, and Tiamat was bigger than Earth because part of Tiamat is Earth, so it has to be bigger than Earth to have won, in my opinion. Do they still need gold? So they collected in the tablets. It says that they collected as much gold as they needed plus reserves. However, there is a thought of mine that some gold mines, such as the Shiva gold mine, actually produces gold for the Anunnaki, which would make sense. If we're doing gold for us and the Anunnaki needs gold, hey, could you give us some technology and we'll give you gold? And that probably works perfectly for them if they still need gold. They obviously, we assume that they had everything they need because we don't see Anunnakis now, or we don't see gods now. So it's possible that they may have set up the gold mines and just overseen them. So in other words, the gold mines now that are mining gold, maybe some of that's getting siphoned off, and therefore they still need it. So I can't say 100% that they've collected everything they need. But they certainly probably would have collected enough for them not to have to be present here on Earth in overseeing the gold mines. Woke minds alike has wrote, you are right about the hybrids, but they are not all like that. There are many species that want to help us. Yeah, I did mention the Nordics and the Palladians supposedly want to help us. Carment has wrote, stay with the woman. That's the thought of the gorgeous woman instead of the little grey. Yeah, I'd rather have that than a little bloody grey. Woke Minds has wrote, but that doesn't mean I'm being rude to the little greys. I'm sure they're lovely. Resident Alien doesn't like the little greys. If you've seen that show, you'll know what I'm on about. Woke Minds has wrote, the Greys of Love like Arcturians. Oh no, not the Arcturians. Lyrians. Oh no, not them. And the Pleiades and many more wish to awaken us and help. So just to let you know where I am with the Arcturians, none. From my research, bearing in mind I'm doing 40 years, I'm very good at what I do. I've never, ever come across anything to do with the Arcturians except for the man-made book that talks about the Arcturians, and the Lyrians go same thing, and the Lemurians and the Atlanteans, even though the Atlanteans were actually Anunnaki. So from my research, because if I said to you, without sounding rude, this is just how I work. If I said to you, could you show me evidence of the Arcturians and Lyrians, you'll say, it's just off of YouTubers and stuff like that. And then you'll realise, hang on a minute, it's probably easier to go with the evidence than it is to go with things that there's no evidence. Until we get evidence. So, yeah. Lisa's wrote, moon eclipse sun yesterday, but looked like another moon behind the sun. What was that? I've not looked at any footage or anything. There, I don't, I can't answer that. I mean, there is another planet in our solar system. Scientists agree, and the ancient tablets agree. Technically, we should really have been a binary star system. In other words, there may be a dead dwarf star out there, burnt up. So, it's possible that if we see something, we may have seen that. So yeah, it's hard for me to say because I've not seen it, but and how far away it would be and stuff like that, and whether or not someone's faked it as well, the image that you may have seen. I'm not saying they have. I sort of like to look at every angle if I can. Wokers wrote, to teach us our past life, starseed family evolve spiritually, they communicate telepathically. So thank you. I was at History and Coins. Sorry, I just missed that. Thank you. So just to let Woke know from where I'm coming from, the past life is nothing to do with aliens as such. It's, from my amazing research, it's to do with an entity that joins with us in the mother's womb for 3 to 4 months, connects to the pineal gland. It stays with us, and then when we die, we're in charge of it for a period of time because we've joined our consciousness with it. And then eventually it crosses over and then goes back round into someone else. So no aliens from any research I've done. And trust me, I've paid clairvoyance mediums. I've been every single day I research, and I've never ever come across an alien trying to help us with our past life. So, yeah, sorry. Bazers wrote L to L block. The planet's name is. Oh right, okay. Wokers wrote, I had one UFO fly over my house the first time. The second time, telepathic communication. Third time. Very interested to see what happened on the third time. And the Grey told me to keep researching and developing spiritually. So, I didn't see what the third one was. So, if we break this down, so a UFO flew over your house. Okay, that's cool. Brilliant. The second time, telepathic communication. So, you must have been fairly important for them to contact you. I don't mean to sound rude. I'm not. I'm just trying to work it out, because otherwise everyone will be, every time they're flying around, it'll be like, oh, I just got telepathic communication. So, and then you say, and the Grey told me, so telepathic communication, he would have had to introduce himself. This is why I break it down. You see, when I break it down, you can find flaws in things. And I'm not knocking you again. So in order for them to have telepathic communication with you, you didn't say visual, so it would be them saying, hey, I'm a little grey, or I'm a grey. You know me as a grey. Otherwise, it's just a voice. Would you not agree? So how do you know it was a grey? And then you wrote, and the Grey, again, how do you know, told me to keep researching and developing spiritually. Okay, so you would probably be one of the very first people, if that's true, that I've ever come across. I've been doing this 40 odd years every single day. So I'm struggling with that one. Sorry about that. Wokers wrote 1 and 2 times the UFOs flew over, third time telepathic communication. So they told you to keep researching, researching aliens. They could have just stopped their craft and let you take photographs of it, but again, not being rude. This is how I work. I like to think of everything. So if they're telling you to research, and the research you're telling me seems to be in error compared to the evidence that I have, and trust me, when you start watching my videos, you'll start changing your things that you've researched already. So maybe they wanted you to find me. That's probably the better argument, because obviously the research that you've got so far seems, without evidence, whereas mine is. So maybe they actually wanted you to communicate with me. But again, how did you know it was a grey? Did they introduce themselves as a grey? I don't. Sorry, Woker's right. I saw the grey in my mind. King Cusius done me a reading and confirmed it. So you saw the image of the grey in your mind instead of just the verbal communication, which is what every single abductee has ever said, or contactee has ever said when they only hear the telepathic voice. They don't normally see an image. So I mean, all I can say is you're very lucky if that's the case. Kerment has wrote, see, I do believe that's my point. I think you might have been talking to someone else because Woke has wrote, seeing isn't believing, believing is see. Well, the problem with that is there's 4,000 religions right now, and if we said that everyone that believes in their own religion is correct, then we'd have a huge amount of gods. Bearing in mind the Sumerian, there was 12 gods. The Romans, 12 main gods. The Greeks, there was 12 main gods. So straight away we've got 36 gods, just with three, I'm not going to say religions, but with three different cultures. So when you say believing is to see, I would say no, because I believe there's a gorgeous woman just about to walk through my door. It's not going to happen. So do you see what I mean? No, you can't just say believing is therefore it's real, because it doesn't quite work like that. Because all of those 4,000 different religions, someone's gonna have to be wrong. If not 399 or 3,999 of them are wrong, e.g. one's right, or they're all wrong. Lisa's wrote, there are other planets visible, but what I'm talking about was something huge, like at 1 o'clock position. Yeah, I've not seen that. I mean, obviously there is as we say, there is a planet that's in our solar system that shouldn't be here, or is hidden to us, which even mainstream agree there is one. Mainstream archaeologists, astronomers agree there is another planet here in our solar system that we can't see. So it could be that, which could have been Nibiru. I don't know. I mean, Nibiru technically is not due round between 300 and 900 years, so I would say about 700 years. So, it could be if it was 10 times the size of Earth, and don't know, it could be. Sorry, people chatting to each other. Woke has wrote, the CIA proved that CE5 spiritual technique works. So when you say spiritual technique, now there's a difference between aliens, e.g. physical aliens, and spirits. I believe spirits are genuine. I did a Ouija board with my mum, and it proved it for me 100%. So when you say spiritual, I think sometimes people get the aliens mixed up with spirits, or sometimes gets them mixed up with a spiritual enlightenment type thing when there really is none, in my opinion, from my years of research. Davey Boys at Planet X is where the Anunnaki is from. Yes, it is. Yeah, that's that's the name NASA originally gave a missing planet in this solar system, which would have been Nibiru. So Nibiru is the name of the planet, or Nibru, depending on who pronounces it. Wokers wrote it was proven back in the 60s and 70s. Again, what's proven? Talking to aliens or talking to spirits? Now, I know you could argue that both of them are aliens. Thank you, user 1417. Thank you for the rose. Kermit wrote, I was in jail and they were leaning over me and I woke up and they all joined and flew under the This is probably to do with the shadow people. Thank you, Let's Not, for saying thank you. You're welcome. Sorry to the person that wants to join the live that's just popped up. I have a Patreon page with 3 tiers. They're only a couple of pounds, but on the higher tier, not only do you get the 150 documentaries, etc., but you also, I let people come up on the live. Sorry. Batters wrote, the Vatican has been all over the world and removed evidence of the Anunnaki. I would totally agree with that. Let's Not, I would definitely be diving into it. Not sure what that's referring to. Maybe it was my video that proves the Anunnaki. I did say that TikTok limits me to about 50 people, didn't I? Watching or listening. Kermit wrote, I've seen that, and then Kermit wrote gold removed, and then Kermit commenters wrote definitely not fake. Piggle Lines wrote, what do you believe the Black Knight satellite is, and who or what put it there? So the NASA admitted there was an object, so that's the first thing. But then NASA said it was part of a craft, and then the description of it doesn't quite match the size and the weight capacity that if it's as heavy as people suggest it is for the thing that NASA says broke off. But there's definitely an object there. There are photographs of the object. Now, they're more than likely right. They're, in other words, real photographs. I can't say for sure, but NASA's admitted, after these photographs were released, NASA admitted that there's an object out there. So we have to assume that those photographs are real. Otherwise, NASA would have just said, oh, they're fake photographs. So this object's on a polar orbit as opposed to the one that goes around I never can remember the name of it. So it goes from pole to pole, instead of around the middle of the planet. We can rule out anything prior to when we know. So there's people out there that says it's been here for millions of years, etc. We can rule all of that out because no one was here millions of years ago. So we can only go by the evidence of when the first mention of it, really. And there's people out there that will say, oh, Tesla heard transmissions from it, and then ham radio people's heard transmissions from it. Basically, you get a lot of stories of people picking up signals, but again, doesn't necessarily mean it's from that satellite or that object. So then it boils down to, if we can't prove that any of the communications come from that, then what can we do? We can only go back by the photographs, really. And then we can assume after that, we can do some assumptions. Well, if it's not ours, then it's an alien object. Was it an alien object that got caught into our orbit from millions of years ago? Could have been. Did it get caught in our orbit, 50 years ago? Could have done. Is it a probe? Could be. In other words, you've got all these questions that you're going to just basically make up. The bottom line is, if it's not from us, then if NASA knew about it and the military knew about it, chances are they would have tried to bring it down and dissect it and back engineer it. So the chances that it's still there now is very slim, if unless it's got some sort of defense mechanism on it. Because I know the military would love to have something that's not of this earth, along with all the other times they've nabbed things. So in other words, no one really knows for sure. So if anyone gives you an answer that's it's Anunnakis, it's this or that, there's no evidence whatsoever of whose it is. All we know is that there is an object that's in a polar orbit. That's pretty much all we know. So I can't give you any more than that, really, because I don't want to lie or anything and make up stories. Jane has wrote 8:30. Thank you, Jane. I'm 20 minutes behind. This is live. I read every single question out. Thank you. David Boy, people chatting to each other. Kitty Jackson has wrote, may I ask, do you think the truth about Nibiru will come out? Not while there's 9 billion of us. My gut feeling, after been doing this for 40 years, watching how the governments and the elites position everything, I have a feeling that they want a depopulation, and then once the depopulation, e.g. Great Reset, happens, then they will tell the remaining people, 500 million, as it was in the Georgia Guidestones, they will tell the remaining people, hey, there's aliens, this is what's happened, here's their technology, this is what we're going to be doing. So I think down the line we'll know all about aliens and be working with them, in 300, 400, 500 years time. Right now, there's too many of us, and we would all demand. There's people out there that demand retribution for being slaves and stuff like that. Imagine if we was told, there's people that had children removed in modern times, now. We're not talking slaves, hundreds of years ago. We're talking people with their babies being removed by aliens. That's been allowed to by Eisenhower and his treaty with the tall whites called the Grenada Treaty. You can imagine, people that say, I was abducted and I want compensation, and we want the free energy technology, that the anti-gravity technology, we want the free energy so we don't have to pay. The elites will lose power, and they don't want that. So we're going to be, in my view, we're going to be squished right down to the point where we have no control over anything. I mean, literally, you can't even make a joke nowadays in certain countries, Scotland, for example, otherwise it's hate crime. So they're going to squish us right down. We're going to be locked into little 15-minute cities. We're going to be depopulated, and then those that's left will have to toe the line, because there's pretty much nothing they can do, because they've already squashed us so far down that, yeah. Davies wrote, is it me or is time fast? Depends how old you are. If the older you get, unless you're in a really boring job, it does seem like time goes fast, yeah. Woke Minds wrote, have you ever seen the CIA document of them proving CE5 is real? Again, going back to the question, are you talking spirits or are you talking aliens? Kermit wrote, it's already been validated. I'm not sure what that's referring to, whether it's the same thing. Rosie's wrote, what did they call Earth? Kai, Ki, which is why at the end of the word Anunnaki, or Kai, that's why Sitchin's translated it to those from heaven to earth, or those that came from heaven to earth. Bearing in mind, heaven is space. So it makes sense. Kitty Jackson's wrote, we are a binary system, possibly trinary. Yeah, we should have. I mean, most from astronomers, most star systems are binary, and so there's a possibility that our one may have died a long time ago. Kermit wrote, because they get Earth here. I'm sorry, not sure what that's referring to. Davy Boys wrote, this what pyramid are for Gilgold? When full it blink the planet. I'm just trying to read it. This what pyramid are for Gilgold? I'm not sure what the Guild Gold is. When full, it blink their planet. So it's not you, Davey, it's me. I'm trying to work out what that means. Sorry. I'm guessing you mean it helps their planet gold. Avatar's wrote, so how true history? Do you think the Anunnaki ever still bring human Palladian hybrids on chariots to Nibiru? I don't. There's tablets in the Columbia University that forbid. So when the flood was about to happen, and people were allowed to go back home, in Nibiru, no, they weren't allowed to take any humans with them at all. So I'm guessing that kind of rule still stuck. I don't know, but I'm guessing that they kind of didn't want that. I mean, bearing in mind, if King Anu's still alive, he really didn't like Adam from Adam and Eve, Adapa. He didn't like Adam. So That's not because of Adam was a bad person. It was because King Anu thought he disrespected him by not eating and drinking the food that Enki told him not to eat and drink. So I don't think, and they were quite happy to let us die in a flood. So I don't think they would want us on their planet. David Boys wrote, "It must be sun or moon." Is that to do with the thing beside the picture that someone else mentioned? I'm not sure what that's referring to. Kitty's wrote, "Saw the other object during the 2017 eclipse. Interesting." I can't answer what that is, I'm afraid. History's wrote, "Hi all. Hi, History. Hope you're well. Spoke to you properly for a while." Paul's wrote, "Outer History. You, I believe." Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I don't know if you heard me moaning about the Y-Files new video about the Anunnaki, where it's completely and utterly, totally wrong, the whole lot, an hour. I sat through an hour watching it, and my blood was just boiling, because I know all those people, 2 million of them that's watched his video in 2 days, are going to come and tell me that I'm wrong because they watched his video. But thank you for the kind words. Wokers wrote, 1 and 2 times the UFO flew over. The third time, I think that was the one that was pinned. That was, I think, pinned. Wokers wrote, I didn't tell him what happened either. That was to do with the clairvoyant that you was, or hypnotist. Woke Minds wrote, he brought up my experience. Wokers wrote, but you're saying CE5 isn't true when there's proof out there from the CIA. No, I said I struggle with it because, and I gave you the reasons why I struggle with an alien race deciding to contact one individual, and they're greys, which really, it can't be the Zetas, it can't be the Orions because they're android, so it leaves the Zetas, Zeta Reticuli greys. And so for them to be flying around and not getting chased off by the others, because obviously the others don't want us to know, because they abduct us and do experiments on us. So does the Zetas, by the way. The Zetas were the ones that took Betty and Barney Hill. So you can see why I'm struggling to hell with the fact that an alien race will take time to come and communicate with just one person. Now, I have heard stories of aliens, greys, picking up people and trying to educate people. A long story. But I've never heard of an alien, someone wanting an alien to talk to them, and then them being spoken to by the alien. Now, if you said you wasn't, you just got contacted, I would have said no problem at all. No problem at all. But with the CE5, where you're actively trying to communicate with an alien, and then they decided, yeah, you know what, that person there, let's just fly over there a little bit. There we go. Just over, left a bit over his house. Cool. Hopefully he saw that. Brilliant. And then I'll tell you what, we'll do a second flyby next week. Do you see my point? If it wasn't a controlled, or if it wasn't you trying to make communication, if it was just them abducting you or communicating with you, fine, no problem with that. I've heard that a zillion times. But it's the people that say, "Oh, I want to talk to an alien," and the next thing you know is they get communication. That is what I struggle with. Sorry, because if the CIA are aware of it and don't want it to happen, then all they would have to do is say, "Hey, listen, guys, can I chat to someone? Thank you. Right, okay. Thank you for telepathically talking to me. Listen, please leave our people alone on our planet. Just leave them. Don't keep talking to them." Do you see what I mean? The logic just doesn't sit right with me there. Because otherwise, if you can do it, they can do it. And they could probably just turn around to them and say, "Look, stop. Enough now. Stop talking to our people. Let them get on with their work." Nikki's wrote, "The only person I know who communicated telepathically has schizophrenia." Say no more. Avatars wrote, "From my experiences, is they project themselves as human in order to create a smooth transaction. Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, the abductions, you see owls and things like that, and you sometimes see loved ones as stories or cases of people that have seen deceased loved ones as a false memory. Wokers wrote, it's called remote viewing, that's why you see them in your mind. Now you... Woke, what are you doing? You've now mixed CE5 with remote viewing. The remote viewing is totally different. Like I say, I've been doing this 40 odd years, so I am an expert. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. So yeah, remote viewing is totally different. And generally, you don't really want to communicate with when you do a remote viewing. And do you know why? Because you're given a set of coordinates, and the chances are that a grey isn't there at those coordinates. Now, there is Major Ed Dames, who was one of the main, in fact, he still teaches it, remote viewers for the government. And he, at one point, was remote viewing and went to the moon as a remote view. Of course, he doesn't know that he's going to the moon in the remote view because they're just given set coordinates. Anyway, he saw a grey look at him, and he was petrified and bugged out of there and stuff. So the chances of remote viewers wanting to actually talk to greys, you know, when this is Ed Dames, actually Ed Dames, who is verified as doing the remote viewing projects. This was on Coast to Coast, so I'm not making you go listen to him. So I think, without sounding rude, and I really try and be nice, I think you may be getting a few things mixed up. Sorry. Anna's wrote, I've heard the same about the grey contact and similar messages in my observations. Not sure whether that was referring to what that person said or me, when you say you heard the same. So what I'm saying is, when you're asking for a grey or an alien to contact you, that I struggle with. That I struggle with. Now, abductions and contacts, I've heard zillions of stories of them. Yes, that happens. But it's when you sit there and go, I want to talk to a grey, and then suddenly you talk to a grey, that I struggle with that. I really do. Wokers wrote, all religions are basically of the same origin. They're made into different religions to cause divide, hate among us. So again, breaking that down, while I agree with you that obviously no humans would have knocked up with the idea of a god if there wasn't already a race called gods. So no one comes up and says, do you know what, let's make a temple for someone that would just add a bit of a gig. No one does all that. So you're right, the gods were based off of the Anunnaki. There's no two ways around that. The problem where you've got though is when you say they're made into different religions to create and divide, conquer. I don't think so. I think, you know, bear in mind there's 4,000 of them, and Scientology is one of them, and Scientology is based off of the Anunnaki. He went a bit wild and added loads of crap to it, but the core basics is an alien race came here. So that one wasn't set up to create and divide and create hate. That was set up because he actually genuinely believed at the time. He didn't have as much information as we have now with internet and everything else, but the information that he did have, he believed that there was. So he didn't set that up. So when you say that they're all made differently to set up hate, I don't think that's the case. So I've just used one example there, but there's probably so many more out of the 4,000 that are just created because people wanted to have power, such as, in my opinion, the Mormons. So the Mormons, one guy said way later, after all the other gods were around, that God said to him that he's the real God. And so then he went around and told people that he just spoke to the real God. So all the other gods prior to that, this guy's lucky enough that he's got the one God, real God, deciding to tell him to go around, and so then he sets up the Mormon. You know, that to me, and forgive me if you're religious, that to me is someone creating a David Koresh scenario where you end up having people follow you as opposed to creating something to cause hate, as you just said. History's wrote, I won't be long here, I haven't slept. Oh, I'm guessing that's maybe pain or something. Hopefully you can sort yourself out. Woke Minds has wrote, it very much does in terms of manifestation. You just need to learn and tap into the power and energy. Hi Zad has wrote, the strange triangle in the solar system near Earth. I'm not aware of that. I'm aware of the long lines going throughout the solar, throughout the galaxy. I don't know if you've ever heard of the long lines going throughout the galaxy. Fascinating. I sound like Spock there, don't I? Oh, sorry, history. Okay, well, sleep if that helps. Thank you for coming. Wokers wrote, he's on TikTok called King Cassius. So this is the person that said to you that you had communications with a Grey, and he's on TikTok. Okay. Nikki's wrote, are you able to explain CERN to me? I don't know what it is, but people have been talking about it. Oh, thank you whoever's doing the hearts in the background. I do this because I enjoy it. You don't have to do the hearts, but bless you. So CERN's not the first one. So CERN goes around Switzerland. It goes under the ground. It goes through a couple of countries. I think it goes right underneath Germany, if I'm not mistaken, as well. And it's a massive, massive tunnel, basically. But there was one prior to that. I think the one prior to that was somewhere else. I can't remember where it was. In Europe. And basically, the original idea when they set up the CERN was to create a particle smasher. So basically, you get these tiny, tiny atoms and smash them together at very, very high speed. So they created this what they called a hadron collider in this tunnel that they'd created that goes literally miles and miles and miles and miles round under the ground. And so they send these two particles opposite directions so that eventually they will meet at very high speed and smash into each other. The original newspaper articles, and I do remember them because I've been doing this for 40 odd years and this is what I do, said that they was trying to create a God particle, in other words, a energy as powerful as this universe, which was really stupid because in the same article it said, we may blow up our universe. I was like, well, don't do it then, stupid people. So they had an idea, obviously, before they made this new one, this larger Hadron Collider, of what they were trying to achieve. So in other words, they probably failed on the smaller one and decided to make an even bigger one. So when you've got a bigger Hadron Collider, they have actually created a 0.00 something seconds worth of energy, which would be equivalent to the, I'm not mistaken what they said, but it only lasted for 0.000 something seconds. To the person that's asking to come up, I have a Patreon page with some amazing documentaries, over 150. Who Yahweh was, who Jesus' real father is, etc., etc. Third higher tier for a couple of £1 is the people that can come up and chat to me, so forgive me for that. So basically they want to smash particles together and see what happens. Now, there's many stories that have been told since they started doing this on the Hadron Collider under Switzerland, and that is things like they've opened portals, people's gone missing, dinosaurs have come through, they've let through demons, you pretty much, you name it, something's happened. Truth of the matter is, when you're spending billions and billions on something that they know they won't be able to contain, such as the God particle, I mean, it's stupid. Anyone with half a brain will say there's no way they could contain the power of a star or a power of a universe in a Hadron Collider and keep it there. You would need some sort of force field or something from it. It's causing the problem. Like they said, it may destroy our whole universe, whole galaxy. So you know that that's not the only experiment they're doing, because that's a stupid one to waste billions and billions and billions of pounds on, just for, and they know they're only ever going to get 0.0 something seconds of it, because if they get a full one, then we won't be here to know about it. So they're up to no good, and the reason why I say they're up to no good is because they would explain what they're doing, just the same as chemtrails. Hands up who thinks chemtrails is good for us. If something's good for us, they'll tell us. Oh, look, we put fluoride in the water for you. Yeah, right. You only put that in there, and you've only had to tell us because we worked out that there was fluoride in there. But chemtrails, people don't understand what chemtrails are, so they can get away with keep doing it, and so it's not good for us. Whereas water, we could test the water and saw that we had fluoride. In fact, nowadays, don't ever test your water; you'll never want to drink again. So basically, Hadron Collider or CERN is just a big particle accelerator. Avatars wrote, anyone curious why the moon was visible next to the eclipse in the videos? What was eclipsing the sun then? I've not seen it, so I can't say one way or another. Woke Minds wrote, CIA proved you can use CE5 to contact ETs, higher beings and spirits. You see my point now? Do you see my point? Now imagine I say, okay, I want to contact, I believe in spirits, but let's just say I want to contact an ET, and I say, listen, ET, you do know what's going to happen. You know there's people out there that are the elites, and the CI5, etc., and CIA, they're all bad for us. Can you guys sort it out? Do you think the CIA would want us talking to Greys, or the Greys telling us? Thank you, History and Coins. Do you think the Greys, the CIA, knowing that telling us on their website, hey guys, you can go and chat to Greys, and the Greys saying, yeah, they've got an agenda. Do you know what? How I know they've got an agenda? Because back in the 80s, I've been doing this a long time, there was abductees saying that we should be down to 500 million people. These were Greys telling people that we should be at 500 million. Now, whether or not that should be because that's the ideal amount for the planet, or should be because the elites are going to be taking us down to 500 million. So do you think the CIA are going to say, hey guys, you can create your own free energy by contacting an alien? They'll come, they'll have a chat with you, and they'll give you the information on how to build a anti-gravity craft if you want, and we'll go all out of business, and we won't be able to work for our elites that pay us. I can't see it. I cannot see it. The logic doesn't compute for me. I'm very logical. Woke minds, right? ETs have spirits too. They use their spirit to communicate with us. So you're saying that the telecommunication or telepathic ability that you had where you saw the grey was actually not the grey, it was the spirit that's with the grey. Is that what you're saying? Scrolling down, this is live, I read every single question out. Lots of people chatting to each other. Daryl Muscleman, forgive me if I pronounce it wrong. NASA says it is a heat shield blanket. I'm guessing that's to do with the thing that people were talking about for the eclipse. I'm guessing. I haven't seen the footage of an extra object there. People then chatting to each other again. Ian Gunners wrote, you have zero evidence for all this stuff. Actually, I do have evidence if you're interested, but you're probably not. Let's see if you obviously won't follow me. So would you like to see the evidence, everybody? Who wants to see the evidence? Hands up who wants to see the evidence, for example, of the Anunnaki in the Bible being the gods in the Bible that were here and genetically modified us, because obviously Ian Gunner probably has done a run, and I wouldn't want to sit and wait for me to give him an answer, because that means he's wrong if I did give him an answer. So they normally run. They normally come on. What happens, just to let everyone know, I've been doing this long enough. They come on, they'll type something, and then they run, and they'll think that they're always right because no one's told them that they're wrong. So I would have said to Ian Gunner, explain how we've got two fused chromosomes, and Ian Gunner will go, what? And then Ian Gunner Ah, right, okay. Ian Gunner's actually still listening, so by now Ian Gunner's probably realised I do know what I'm talking about. So, Ian Gunner, right, explain why we've got two fused chromosomes done in laboratory. Explain that. So, while he's explaining that, with evidence, by the way, because I give evidence on everything that I do. For those of you who are interested in what I said, the proof that the Anunnaki were the ones in the Bible, tens of thousands watched the video, by the way, on TikTok. 0 people's told me I'm wrong. Ian Gunner's at the moment looking up what fused chromosomes means. Bless him. Number 23 and number 24, I thought I'd help you out there. So anyway, if you're interested, go to my website. All you have to do is go to my website. Sorry, I was talking about the Anunnaki and Sitchin's claims. Yes, so am I. So am I, Ian. So am I. And it's not Sitchin's claims. Ian, listen to me. Trust me, Ian. I prove, where I'm pointing right now, I prove that Sitchin was correct because I don't even use Zachariah Sitchin in the video with the evidence. So, and the fused chromosomes is to do with the Anunnaki. Tell you what, for you, Ian, everyone else just wait. For you, Ian, go type in, he won't bother, no one does, Enki and Nimna. This is a translation. First one should be the translation of the ancient tablets, where they talk about genetically modifying a hominid species to create the first new species, which is us, to mine for gold and carry their baskets for them. And they explain in that translation, first ever language, that they tried 6 times, and each time the creature. Ian's wrote, I did this stuff for a radio show for 5 years. So you basically have no idea what you're talking about then. Ian, do you know what Enki and Nimna, the tablet Enki and Nimna is? Yes or no? Yes or no, Ian? You still haven't answered my fused chromosome point, because I knew you wouldn't. No one does. Ian's wrote, and who's that from? What, the translations of the tablets? Not Zachariah Sitchin, thank you very much. It's in the Oxford University website, which is at the bottom of it. It shows you how many different people's actually peer-reviewed it and checked it. You should know this if you've been doing this for 5 years, Ian. It says all the names of the people at the bottom of the translations. Thank you very much. Peer-reviewed, by the way. So nothing to do with Sitchin. Ian, dropping the mic. Oh, you should know what that feels like because you do it for 5 years. You know nothing, Ian. I've just showed you. You don't know anything about the fused chromosomes. You don't know about Enki and Nimna, and you don't know that. No, you don't. See, go look at it. These are. Oh, so you want me to name the people that's. Go look. You have no idea. You didn't even know about it. Ian, I'm sorry I've made you look silly. If you didn't know about the tablets that predate the Bible, telling us that the Anunnaki created us, then you know nothing. That is the first thing you should learn. God, I can't believe you don't know that. You've been doing this 5 years. Wow. Sorry, Ian, I don't mean to make you look silly, but you don't come on here, tell me that you've been doing this for 5 years and not know about fused chromosomes, not know about the tablet for Enki and Nimna. You really didn't. Do you even know who Nimna is? Do you know who Enki is? This is the problem I have, everybody. So anyway, for those of you that actually want to learn, so forget Ian, because obviously Ian's not gonna. He's already made his mind up that Sitchin's wrong. You can just tell that. You don't have to be an Einstein or an Our True History to work that one out. Unfortunately, what Ian doesn't know is on my website, ourtruehistory.co.uk, scroll down to where it says click here on the home page. There is a 3-hour documentary showing evidence that nothing to do with Zachariah Sitchin. This is tablets, this is museums, this is lectures from museums, this is everything else other than Zachariah Sitchin. Thank you, Brother Don. Thank you, Brother Don. Ian's wrote, check out the Golden Age Project. And I don't need to. I read the ancient tablets. So you've basically gone by... You've gone by other researchers. Oh, I knew it. Thank you, Andanala. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that. So anyway, let's forget Ian, because we've just proved that Ian didn't know anything. Now he's telling me to go and watch other people's videos, which I don't do. I go back to the original sources, which Ian should really do. I'm trying to help you out, Ian. I'm not being rude. I'm just saying to you, Forget Zecharia Sitchin. He actually, you do realise that Zecharia Sitchin copied the translations off of the Moorhen collection, which was in Liechtenstein at the time. Zecharia Sitchin used the Moorhen collection's tab translations, so it's not actually nothing to do with Sitchin for the Lost Book of Enki. It was to do with Moorhen, George Moorhen, and then his son also helped translate them later on. So you know all this because you've been doing it for 5 years. Anyway, those tablets are now in the Columbia University. Yeah, they are. Sorry, and I don't mean to make you sound silly or anything, but they are in the Columbia University. So, and guess who owns them? The Rothschilds. No, yeah. I know, it's mental. And the Moorhens, George, had spent about 5 years trying to get them off of the Rothschilds to translate. And eventually he was allowed to, and that's why it's called the Moorhen Collection. But you know all of this because one of us, not going to name names, either you or me, have done a little bit more research than the other one. Anyway, so for those of you that's interested in seeing the evidence that the Anunnaki were the ones in the Bible, go to my website, outruehistory.co.uk, scroll down to where it says click here. It's a YouTube video, just click on it, go watch it, enjoy, and you'll see the evidence that is not using Zecharia Sitchin. I was smart enough to make sure that I did that because people seemed like this person here, Ian. He's probably do you know what he's probably done? He's probably watched the Y-Files video where the Y-Files guy basically says Sitchin is wrong, which is ridiculous because obviously I proved that nothing to do with Sitchin. So anyone that's watched the Y-Files latest video, I will be debunking that video terribly because it's basically an hour's worth of baloney that they've done with no evidence. Did you see any evidence pointed there? Watch any of my videos, I point to it. So anyway, sorry, Ian. So feel free to watch and learn. Don't hate me for this. I'm just saying, Ian, look, we can be friends. You can learn from me because I show evidence. If you're watching anything else that hasn't got evidence and it's not pointing back to the ancient stuff, then it's all modern stuff and you can't take it 100%. Mikhail's wrote, the Patreon page is worth every penny. I highly recommend. Bless you, Mikhail. The fingers crossed, the latest Norse video to do with the Ragnarok will be out this weekend as well. I'm the guy that I know Mikhail knows this, but just for those of you who don't know, I'm the guy that worked out who the Norse gods were in relation to the Anunnaki. I'm the guy that done the family tree. I'm the guy that worked out that Stonehenge was there because of mining. I'm the guy that's worked out basically pretty much nearly everything these days, and it does sound really bad. Kerry had told Ian Gunner there's lots of evidence on his page. Unfortunately, he's made his mind up that Sitchin was wrong. So once that happens, it's very hard to change their opinion. History and Coins wrote, do you think all these earthquakes, etc., are one of their ways of bringing down the number of us? No, I don't. I think they would want to keep the infrastructure for now. They've got weapons, as you probably can tell from above. 9/11, Hawaii. So if they wanted to bring down things, they could do it that way. I think they're going to try and control it by making sure each individual person has a particular thing that they want us to have, and therefore when they're ready, they switch on one of those 5G sound frequencies at 60 gigahertz, and we all go, History and Quiz wrote, I just thought I thought you was aware of what's going on, so Ian Gunners wrote, let's hear it, it's nonsense. So I am behind on the messages, so forgive me. See, Ian Gunner, a sensible person will say, let's hear it, and then debunk me. But unfortunately, Ian hasn't done that. It just shows how old you are, Ian. On a serious note, it does. Because if I went on someone else's and I'd say, okay, right, let's hear it. And do you know what I would do? I would do everything I could to debunk them if I didn't like them. And clearly you don't like me because I'm obviously giving information out that you don't want out. So don't hate me, Ian, for you having your own opinion without actually looking at evidence. And obviously you said you was doing it for 5 years at a radio station. I feel sorry for your listeners, but that's beside the point. But because obviously they was getting 5 years worth of stuff that you have no knowledge of whatsoever. Yeah. Nicky's wrote, what on earth is C5? CE5. It's basically a way of communicating with, or a term used for calling upon an ET. Karen Pratt has wrote, hi Karen, nice of you to join. L Block has wrote, do you have an ETA when they plan to depopulate Earth? Look up the word Gender 2030 and you'll get an idea that it's not going to be too long. Don't forget they built all those camps while we was all in lockdown, and one of the camps that they built was here in Wellingborough in the UK, and it's a town-sized prison that they called a prison. And do you know who built it? The same people, the same security company that dealt with the 9/11, with all the missing photographs of the missing hijackers, etc. Funny that there was no evidence whatsoever. And they're also the same security company that was in charge of the security cameras for the buses and the trains, etc., for the 7/7 bombings that happened over here. And again, we had zero evidence of them except for a really badly photoshopped image. Kerry's wrote, host answers questions in order. Thank you. Yeah, I am behind on the questions because I keep getting stopped by people that tell me I'm wrong and then realise that they don't really know what they're talking about. Karen has wrote alien contact. I'm guessing that's replying back to someone else that was referring to that earlier. Woke has wrote, ETs have spirits. Oh, that was one that was pinned. Ian's wrote, it wasn't ancient aliens, never was. So instead of just saying that, show me the evidence. Or debunk my evidence. Debunk my evidence. But I've already asked you how we got fused chromosomes and you haven't answered. You didn't even know about them. This is why it's very easy when like a religious person or someone comes on that thinks they know stuff. Little knowledge is dangerous. That's very scary. It's very easy. All I have to do is ask one question and they can't answer it. They change the subject. You'll notice that's what happens. Again, don't hate me for knowing stuff that you didn't. Baz has wrote, Nibiru orbits every 3,600 years, but only comes close to Earth every 46,800 years. Yes, I was hoping someone would do the math for me on the calculations, so I appreciate that. Avatar wrote, thank you, sir, you're more than welcome. Scrolling down, this is live. Privatus wrote, have you watched Alex Collier and the Andromeda Council? I've seen some of Alex Collier's stuff, and I've already done some videos with evidence proving where he's wrong on some things. I'm not saying he's wrong on everything, but once same as the Y-Files, now that the Y-Files has basically proved that he knew nothing, or that his researchers knew nothing about the Anunnaki, I will be doing a video showing the evidence where he's completely wrong. Once you realise that someone's got something wrong, that's why I'm very careful. I did get something wrong the other day. That was me being a bit stupid and someone pulled me up on it. But once people are that bad at getting things wrong, I struggle then to believe anything they say. It's like the boy that cried wolf. Daryl's wrote, I love the Y-Files, but he got the Anunnaki wrong. He did, didn't he? Terribly. I mean, literally, right from the start when he said King Anu's name wasn't Anu. I mean, the frickin'... Oh, New Malish talks about Anu. Oh, no, my mind was just going, this is killing me. It was killing me. Ian Gunners wrote, no evidence of these other races either. I'm just going to move on from him. Karen's wrote, as an experience of myself, I have many visitations from different species of aliens. No, I'm not denying people get contacted. I'm struggling with the fact that the CIA are telling people, hey, you can actually chat to an alien that can tell us stuff that we shouldn't really be knowing, like that there was aliens back in ancient times. Do you see where I'm going? And there's no God and all this kind of stuff. There's no way the CIA would want us to have it on their website to say that we can do it. That's illogical, in my opinion. Now, whether they have or not, I've not seen it, but it's the most stupidest thing I've ever heard if they have. David Boys wrote, in Decmont, the M and the N and dog was abducted him in 1980s. Sure. I don't know what Decmont is. You've got me on that one. Woke minds is right. Everyone is important and can communicate with them. Again, intentions have to be pure. I understand that. I've heard enough, abductees talking about various things where they. But yeah, but I struggle with the fact that you want to talk to an alien and they come.
No. What did you just ask them?
Clark, I'm just doing live. Karen's wrote, sometimes we don't have a choice. Yeah, that's going back to them contacting you, I'm guessing. Time check 9 p.m. I am slightly behind, Clark, so please let me rush. Woke Minds wrote, the government kept us enslaved. Of course they would say that. But hang on, you just said on their website they're saying you can go and talk to aliens. You just said that they said on their website, CIA, that you can go and talk to aliens. You said that. But now you're saying they're keeping us enslaved. I agree they are keeping us enslaved. But if they're saying you can go and chat to an alien, then they're admitting there's aliens. Would you not agree? And again, therefore, ergo, I struggle with that because the logic there is they've been trying to keep this hidden from us, as you just said there, enslaved, forever, and yet they're telling us that we can go and chat to an alien. You see my point? I'm struggling with that terribly. Davies wrote, I'm guessing that's, I did see a big triangle. Me and my ex, I never spoke about it for 10 years. When did she saw different? Yeah, I'm guessing, I'd be interested to know how big the triangle was. Normally the triangles seem to be the military's owned ones. Turn it off and go and play on the tablet, Clark. Woke has wrote, the higher beings and the ETs are trying to free us of that. I can't, Clark. Sorry, everybody. Clark's just trying to get me to sort his phone out.
Yeah.
Right, you're going to be nice and go away then?
Yeah.
Go on then.
Ah.
Right, okay, go. Sorry about that, everybody. David Boyce, from me, was big and silent, then gone. I think it was heading to BP oil refinery. Interesting. I'd like to know how big. Was it the sort of Phoenix Light size? Or was it sort of, what is it, 32 foot by 32 foot by 32 foot? Seems to be the general size of the TR3B. Kerry's wrote, sorry, I'm calling it as I see it. People need to provide evidence in the chat for wild claims. I mean, I do point to my evidence where I've got it, and if I don't have evidence, I'll say a whistleblower or something like that. But thank you. History and coins, just give me a little ducky or a little chick or something. Thank you. Woke Minds wrote, CE5 is part of the same concept of remote viewing. They reply back to you and show you themselves. See, that's not what Major Ed Dames has said, and he's the one that teaches for, or used to teach for the remote viewing for the government, or for the secret government, however you want to describe it. So that's why I struggle with that. That you got to remember what you're saying there is C5, which is what you're saying is on the CIA's website, is saying, hey, you can do a remote viewing and chat to aliens. So you're saying on their website they're telling us there's aliens. Is that what you're saying? Are you actually saying that they're telling us that we can go and chat to an alien and this is how to do it? I'm sorry, I'm very logical in that. Sometimes my brain hurts when things don't make sense. White Ness has wrote, TikTok by design doesn't allow you to discuss anything in detail in chat, especially evidence. Well, I'm buggered then, aren't I? Frey is the person that actually caught me out, if I'm not mistaken, the other day, actually, where I was whizzing along and I basically said that the Anunnaki planet didn't have gold, and it did. And as I said it, I was thinking to myself, no, I think it might have, but then I just carried on, and then Frey pulled me up. So if it was the same Frey, I'm very humbled. Hi, sir. Can I ask how many of Alulula's family came to Earth. Thanks in advance, as always. So I have done a family tree. The only two that I'm aware of that belong to Alula was his daughter, called Damkina. She was married to Enki, believe it or not. So Enki's stepfather was Alula, which is probably why he kind of wanted to save him in a way. But anyway, Damkina changed her name when she married Enlil and was on Earth, and to her name being Ninlil. No, not Ninlil. My brain's gone. Sorry, I've got a cat trying to distract me as well. But yeah, so that's her, the Damkina, and then the other one of Alula's family would have been Anzu. So he wouldn't have bred with any humans, because he probably would have died before us humans were being bred with by the Anunnaki. So, although saying that, the Penn Museum seems to think that Anzu was right up until a few thousand years ago, which I don't see that. I don't see that at all. It doesn't work for me in the time frame of everything. But anyway, but Damkina did give birth to some of the very first Homo sapiens. So technically, some of us have Alula's DNA in us. Woke Minds is right again. Just because you want to speak to an ET doesn't mean you're able to. And then wrote again, like I've said, your intentions has to be pure, not just because you want to speak to one. I know, but you see where I'm going with my problems. I'm aware of that. I'm totally aware of what you're saying. I mean, I can tell you many, many, many stories about people and aliens and having pure intentions. Yeah. Ian Gunners wrote, wasn't the Mormons created after three kids saw the vision in the woods? From my research, it was one person, and then later on, after he'd started getting a crowd of people starting to follow him, he got one of his friends to say that him and his friend both saw God a second time, and therefore now that there's two people saying that they've seen God, they managed to get a lot more followers. So that's my take on my research on that. White Ness wrote, as if aliens are gods with the ability to decipher pure intentions. So what the person's referring to is the telepathic ability. So as I say, I'll give you one example of a story. So there was a person laying on a sofa in America. There are stories from Russia, etc., but I can't speak Russian and I can't but anyway, so the story goes, the guy was laying on his sofa and he felt a tingle, looked up, there was a couple of greys in his room, one behind the sofa and one in front of him. He jumped up, saw his wife frozen in the kitchen through the kitchen door, just literally frozen as if she was paralysed. And he went to go and grab a gun, and he heard in his voice, in his head, from one of the greys, "You won't shoot us. We know you're not that type of person." And so he didn't grab the gun and he didn't shoot them. In other words, they can read your thoughts and they know what you're thinking, and therefore they know whether or not you're a good person. So that's really the way that the pure part is. Obviously, gods didn't have that ability. The Anunnaki didn't have that ability. This is live. I read every single question out. Witnesses wrote, read secret golden tablets in cave that no one else could see. I'm not aware of them. I have a feeling this is probably someone's. There are golden tablets. Yes. Read the secret. So the problem is it's not really a secret now. So then you can't really call it a secret unless the secret's on the golden tablets. In which case, it's not a great idea to put secrets on tablets, because someone reads them, then that's not really a secret anymore. So again, the logic there I struggle with. White and Ness has wrote lots of BS after the fact. Not sure who you're referring to there. Karen's wrote, we could shift it to a new dimension. The problem is we don't even know that there is a second dimension for evidence. We assume there's I think there may be a second dimension, but because we don't have evidence of it, we can't just. And forgive me for this, Karen. This is just how I work. So we can't sort of suggest something because we don't have. If we knew there was a second dimension, then we could say, "Aha, we've shifted to a different dimension." So I agree with you. I agree with you, but we can't say it as a fact. I know you say we could, so I know you're not saying it as a fact. I'm just saying it's if we had a second dimension to work off of, then we could say that for a bit more certainty. But it's tricky. Cameron's wrote, it explains the Mandela effect. I think people were chatting to each other, and I think the bits I'm missing. David Boys wrote, they toxic the chemtrails. Barium, all hazard east sprayed in atmosphere. Yeah, there's beranium. Yeah, there's probably other things in it as well. Ian Gunners wrote the second moon was like Jupiter. Yeah, I've not seen the picture of it, so I didn't know there was anything because I didn't see any TikTok videos after saying, "Wow, what was that?" So I assumed nothing actually happened. But Anna's wrote, I saw those CIA docs. They did not move with the goodness, and the report of what they saw shows it. So you're saying that the CIA are saying admitting there's aliens out there? I don't get it. I don't get it. The whole point of hiding aliens, I don't get it. If they're not saying aliens, then who do you chat to? Spirits? So then they're admitting spirits. If it's just CIA, maybe where people maybe getting mixed up. CIA talk about remote viewing. That's correct. Because Major Ed Dames talked about it. So maybe people was assuming on the CIA website, because you can do remote viewing, they're assuming that the CIA is talking to aliens where it doesn't actually say that. So I think maybe that's where it's going wrong. So people are probably assuming that the remote viewing is in order to talk to aliens, therefore that's on the CIA website, when it's not. It's more than likely just remote viewing, explaining remote viewing because they did have a program on remote viewing, and they cancelled it a few years back. But Major Ed Dames said that the chances are they changed the name to a new name so that it looks like it's finished project, but it's actually still carrying on. So I think I think we've probably got to the bottom of it there. So it's not, hey, on CIA website go chat to a spirit and an alien. It's, hey, there's remote viewing. And people's assumed that, like they do with the flat Earth and all that kind of stuff, they assume. Woke Minds wrote, they don't come out and say that through the public. You just have to look for the documents. Again, it's more than likely just a remote viewing, which I've looked into, so we can, that's all good. Now we've solved that problem. Wokers wrote, I think you need to do some research because you put your own narratives on something and it's claim it's... no, I don't actually. I asked you, give me your version of it. You gave me your version. I said I don't agree with that because the logic is just absolutely crazy. And now we've come to the conclusion that it, and I think I'm right, that it's just to do with the remote viewing, and people's added the aliens and the spirits on top of that, because I doubt if NASA's put... Step right up, ladies and gentlemen. Here's remote viewing. Here's how to chat to an alien. You see my point? So I think I'm right. So once again, my amazing logic solves the problems. Daryl's wrote, the Black Knight is a blanket according to NASA. The thing that I heard, it was a heat pump or something that broke off of a craft. I'm trying to remember what it was. I don't remember him ever saying it was a blanket, but obviously if they've changed their tune, then it's possible. Wokers wrote, the truth when there's proof out there if you know where to look. I do indeed. Ian Gunner never did reply about the fused chromosome. Didn't think he would. Not knocking you, Ian. I'm just saying, honestly, yeah. Wokers wrote, and to say that you've been doing this for 40 years and you're the best at what you do is a lie. No, unfortunately, it's not a lie, because a lie would mean I would need to know the opposite. So I would need to know that I'm not the best, but when no one's ever debunked me, except for Frey, where I messed up last week, and I show evidence of everything that I do compared to other people, and I've even worked out that where you're talking about CIA saying to aliens, I've worked out just by using my intellect that you were actually just referring to remote viewing. I still claim that title as an expert. Thank you very much. So, and please don't ever say I lie, because I get you wouldn't. Let's just say you wouldn't want to be in front of me if someone calls me a liar. That's why I'm glad don't live in America, because if I had a gun and someone called me a liar. Nikki's wrote, I've heard nothing but evidence from outerhistory.co.uk. Thank you very much. Nikki, thank you. Ian Gunners wrote, I did this stuff for radio for 5 years. That was what was pinned. Hopefully Ian's still listening and realised now that there is... Woke Minds wrote, but you're missing the main details of the purpose of the subject and what's really going on. So I think we've been on that subject a bit too long, and I think it works out to be remote viewing, because unless you can go away right now, come back with the page link and paste it, and everyone can go and look where it says the CIA say you can go and talk to spirits and aliens. You won't be able to do that. And you called me the liar? That's very sad. Scrolling down, people chatting to each other. Karen's wrote, is negative blood connected to the Anunnaki? So my research comes to the conclusion that 100,000 years ago, which is what mainstream say, the Rh negative suddenly appeared from the Middle East. The Anunnaki were in the Middle East. Approximately 100,000 years ago is when the Anunnaki bred with Homo sapiens to create the Homo sapiens sapiens 100,000 years ago. Again, mainstream agree with that. So, in other words, the Anunnaki's blood type, from my research, would have been the Rh negative, which is a foreign blood type and shouldn't be in our system. So everything seems to match from what I've researched. Jojo's put hi Jojo, nice of you to join. Paul's right, I love it. Oh, bless you, Paul. Thank you. Some symbols. I can't really. There's no name there. So could not the experimental humanoids. Someone's just got muted. I was waiting for someone earlier to get muted. Who was that just got muted? Hopefully it wasn't one of my new friends. No, it wasn't Woke, or it wasn't Ian. So that's good. They've behaved themselves. I like that. That's very nice. Except for the calling me a liar. I don't like that. Anyway, sorry. Could not the experimental humanoids have been Neanderthal? So the hominid race. This is another reason why the Wi-Fi's messed up big time. He didn't even say Neanderthal, and yet virtually everyone on this planet has Neanderthal DNA in us, as opposed to Homo erectus. So he's wrong again, just from the logic point of view. So how the hell did we end up with Neanderthal DNA in us if it was Homo erectus? Why haven't we got Homo erectus? There's only a small percentage, bearing in mind humans did breed with other hominids. There's only a small percentage of Homo erectus. So he didn't even bother doing his own work on that. That's ridiculous. And again, nothing personal. I love his program, but it's now just basically, watch it for entertainment purposes, from my opinion. So the hominid species that would have been, from my research and from the fact that we have Neanderthal DNA in us, would have been Neanderthal. They were in Africa as well, so that makes sense. And so they would have been the ones, from my research, that would have been genetically modified to be able to create the Homo sapien, the first Homo sapien. And then the same person wrote, or Cro-Magnon. No, it would have been Neanderthal, because according to mainstream, we have Neanderthal DNA in us. Woke Minders wrote, like, you really think the Anunnaki need gold from us? and then put a laughing face ridiculous. This is where the person feels a bit embarrassed because I pointed out something that made them look a little bit silly by them saying that the CIA is admitting aliens are here and here's how to contact them. So now this person's being rude back. This is what happens, sadly. Wokers wrote, so you think the Anunnaki need gold from us? Ridiculous. They have elements we can compare. Well, first of all, woke minds, we do have evidence, peer-reviewed evidence, that there were ancient gold mines, and we're talking ancient, thousands and thousands and thousands of years before we should have had another. So in South Africa, so that's matched. So you now have to prove that those gold mines and the peer-reviewed papers are wrong. So that's your first problem. So when you say ridiculous, so we've got gold mines back in South Africa. Then you say they have elements we can compare. Now the problem is unless you can tell me every single element on their planet, which you can't, I don't think they'd even be able to. So when you say they have elements, so do you know what elements they have on their planet that would be able to create gold or produce enough gold? You don't. So when you're putting a laughing face at me, unfortunately, once again, my intellect has just made you look silly because you do not know what's on their planet, so you can't say that they have elements. You tell me what elements they've got. List them. I'm happy to sit and read out the list of elements that the planet Nibiru's got. Woke, what seems to have happened is you've come on here, you have a little knowledge, and it got turned round, and you now feel like I've disrespected you because I've pointed out where you're in error. Don't hate me for that. Just learn from it and say, okay, all right, this guy's actually quite good. He's very clever. Maybe I should just watch his videos and learn, and chat to him and be friends. No worries there. No problems at all. Happy. Nikki's wrote, I believe Ian is just a troll. He has a very small profile for someone who's been on radio for 5 years. Oh, Nikki, you're starting to use your old intellect as well. Brilliant. I like that. I like that indeed. That's the sort of research I would have done. Very interesting. Very interesting. I like that. That's very cool. Actually, you get a gold star for that. No one's gone into class today. No one's asked new sort of interesting questions. But that's a gold star, that is, Nikki. I like that. William has wrote, I know Enki. Enki would have died, apparently, according to researchers. There's two translations in the Oxford University website where you can search for ancient translations of tablets. One where he was ill and dying, another one's where he's died. I've not read them yet. There's a crap load of freaking tablets in their translations. I've never come across those. That's not to say they're not there. I've just not come across them. Enki was old. We know that because at 10,000 years BC, when King Anu came down, they were older than King Anu, according to the tablets. So when you say you know Enki, the chances are you probably don't. Kerry's right, I got second in the class today, sir. Oh, did you? I apologise. You did, didn't you? Very early on. I apologise. Sorry, Kerry. Forgive me for that. Don't hate me for forgetting. Nikki's wrote, Ian Source, trust me, bro. Oh, Nikki, don't do that to people. I don't do that. I ask for evidence, but I don't do the source, trust me, bro. I normally do, show me the evidence, I'll wait. Do you know how many people, I've probably said it to, I don't know, probably 4,000 people since doing these TikToks, where I said I'll wait for the evidence. Do you know how many of those 4,000 people has ever come back with evidence for anything that I've asked them for? None. It's a shame because they probably don't follow me because they think, oh crap, he's made me look stupid and I won't follow him. But it's a shame, but there you go. Davies wrote, Ian is on Planet Z. Laugh out loud. Don't be nasty to Ian. It's not his fault. He just backed the wrong horse in his research for 5 years on the radio show. Kerry's wrote, Ian doesn't do any independent research. Whiteness has wrote, Neanderthals were essentially beasts, orcs. Well, the description of them in the tablets have them as bipedal, lived in trees, and walked on their feet. So that's the first sort of glimpse of what we've got of Neanderthal. Now there was another species here called the Carrigon, which were ape-like, but with canine instincts. That's according to the tablets that predate the Bible, which is quite amazing. And they were as smart as humans, which is very interesting. But I wouldn't have said the Neanderthals were essentially beasts, orcs, but I mean, you could be right. I'm just going by the very little that we have. Ian Gunners wrote, laugh out loud, one guy who translated the tablets, his work led to the Golden Age project. See, whereas I was referring to tablets where many people have translated them. So when you've only got one person that's read something, I'm not saying they're wrong, I'm just saying when you've only got one person, you've got to ask yourself, why hasn't other people read those these things? So for me, just the way I research, I would like to have seen more people translate them, because as you probably know, the Sumerian, because you've done this for 5 years, you know that the Sumerian language, one word could mean 6 different things, which I'm sure you know that. So if you've got one person translating, that's why I like to read everyone's translations. That's what I'm good at doing, and then I come up with my own version that fits everything else that I've learned, because even I have shown where museums are wrong because they haven't read everything that I've read in other museums, etc., or other translations from other people, and they get things wrong. And I've done videos showing where I'm pointing museums wrong. So I would probably not want to read just one person's translation of the tablets, because that's why I don't go with Jesus. Up till I've done who his father is, but anything after that, I can't verify, because there's only one. So basically, I can verify as best as I can with evidence who Jesus' real father was. I've done a video on that. It's on YouTube. Go watch it, or it's on my website. But after he was born, there's nothing to back it up. There's no second opinion. There's no older tablets talking about Jesus. It's just what you get. What you see is what you get. And I won't research that because it's singular. I can't verify that. So they could have wrote Superman flew in for all I know, and I would have had to have believed it, but I can't do that. I need at least 2 sources to sort of verify. So when you say there's one person with these tablets, I would need a second version. Again, not knocking you, Ian, I'm just saying that's how I work to make sure that I get the best. And when you was asking me earlier, because you thought Zachariah Sitchin was the only person that translated tablets by the sounds of it, when I was referring to Enki and Nimna, that's been translated by many different people. Thank you, EU Son. Oh, bless you. That's very nice of you. Thank you. Sorry if I do go off on a tangent, but I try and prove that I'm right, because I do it with evidence as opposed to other researchers that will just talk, and I can't do that. I have to give you the evidence. Karen's wrote, read that one. Ed79 has wrote pyramids. I do like full questions, so I'll assume you're referring to the Giza Plateau. If you go to the Moorhen collection of the translations, Ningazida built them as originally as a light beam to go up into space from the top. And no, the capstone wasn't gold. Go look it up. You'll realise that no one's actually got any evidence whatsoever of gold capstones. The ziggurats, the massive ziggurats, were done before the flood. The straight sloped pyramids were done after the flood, and then down the line you have these Menrei pyramid, for example, which is a stepped pyramid that was supposed to be a normal pyramid. In other words, it was supposed to be built, but Menrei was trying to build one apparently based off of the Giza pyramids, and tried to get his workforce to do it, and it failed terribly, and it ended up being sort of what they call the bent pyramid. So that wasn't even supposed to be that. It was just him building it because he probably thought it was going to be a tomb for him or something, or a status symbol, but it all bodged up. Bearing in mind, no bodies were ever found in pyramids, so they're not tombs. And I still can't join the live. I'm going to be shooting any minute because my boy normally goes to bed at 10, so I'm just going to read out a few more questions, so I apologise for that. Brothers wrote, good work. Oh, thank you, Brother Donny X. Thank you very much. Just before I do go, though, just to let everyone know, if you are interested in the evidence that the Anunnaki were the ones that created us and are the ones in the Bible with evidence, just all you have to do is very simple. Go to my website, outruehistory.co.uk, scroll down to where it says click here. That's it. Sit back, watch that, and it's not using Zachariah Sitchin. Ian Gunners wrote, have you heard of Christian O'Brien? I've not heard of Christian O'Brien, I'm afraid. I try not to look, if he's a researcher, without sounding rude, I try not to look at other people's research because, look at the Y-Files and their latest videos, completely just basically made up stuff. So if I was watching other people's videos, A, it really winds me up when they've got the evidence right, and B, I end up doing videos debunking them. So if you actually watch my TikTok videos, you'll come across probably 60 videos or more where I debunk other researchers, not because I want to, but because people say to me, go and watch Thingy, go and watch Matthew Little Crocs, go and watch Billy Carson, go and watch David, whatever his name was, Hancock, and go and watch this and that. And I go and watch them. Obviously, I'm aware of Hancock and Carson and stuff, but, unfortunately, I come across errors in their things, and I have to do videos to prove that, they're wrong, and it's not in a bad way, it's because I just have to get the evidence out there. So unfortunately, I don't know this Christian person you're referring to. Karen's wrote, I read that one. Hopefully you did hear my reply on that one. Davey Boys wrote, Stargate. I do like full questions. I'm guessing you're asking, is there a Stargate or is there a Stargate program? There is a Stargate program that the American military have. If you're referring to a Stargate back when the Anunnaki were here, I have no evidence and no logic to even say that they had a Stargate back then. If you say, was there a Stargate 3,000 years ago BC, maybe when the little greys turned up, then possibly, but I can't see any Stargates with the Anunnaki, otherwise they wouldn't have built all the building. They would have just, it just doesn't work for me. Ayers wrote, CI5 maybe done it takes the power of your high conscious mind to tap into the high beings all. I agree that people do CE5. It's just my problem was that an alien race, says, you know what, we've got 5 minutes to kill, let's go and chat to that one over there, and then really just says, keep up the good work, bye, we're off. It just doesn't. I can't see the logic in that. Karen's wrote, is anyone seeing my messages? I am behind on the messages, so I'm trying to be as quick as I can. Ian Gunners wrote the same thing again. Witnesses wrote, or Whiteness, sorry, has wrote, as opposed to them being sky people. I don't know if you're referring to, you was chatting to someone earlier, so I think maybe you're replying to them. The Eyes wrote, Anne, why does he still play video games? Laugh out loud. Probably a good joke wasted on me. Sorry, I don't know that one. The Eyes wrote, Ark Survival Evolved. I'm guessing that's a computer game. Ark. Brother Donny X has wrote, how was Enki Enlil was created before who? So I'm guessing you're asking how was the Anunnaki created? So they would have been created by chemicals. So just look up what chemicals can create life, and you'll see what scientists say. Enki was the son of King Anu, and so was Enlil, if that's what you're referring to. I'm not quite sure what you mean. Sorry. Because you wrote, maybe you meant woman. So how was Enki Enlil was created before woman? No, their father was on their home planet. So Enki was the son of a concubine, and Enlil was the son of his King Anu's proper wife. The Ayers wrote, may I join your live? I'll debunk you. Unfortunately, I'm due to finish any minute now, and also I only let up people that's basically my higher tier on my Patreon page. However, my videos, just scroll down on TikTok, where the only problem is, if you're going to debunk me, I have no problem debunking because I learn. If I'm wrong, I learn. So I win either way. But the only thing I ask is, if you're going to debunk me, just don't do what every single other person does and write BS. That's not debunking. And don't write you're wrong, because that's not debunking. You need to look at my evidence and say, okay, he's pointing to this tablet. And then you have to say, this tablet is a fake tablet written by Zachariah Sitchin in his bedroom. Here's the evidence. You have to give me evidence. Do you see what I mean? So maybe think about it before you start saying, because you can't just sit and say you're wrong. You have to give me the evidence. Evidence to debunk my evidence. So it's a lot of work. So it's up to you if you want to do that. I'm happy either way, because if you do show me where I'm wrong, I learn. And that's all I want to do. But you'd be the very first person to do that. Except for Frey, who I cocked up last week. Mr. Muller has wrote, talk about ancient aliens. I probably haven't got the time to talk about ancient aliens now, because it's a big subject. But if you're interested, I'll tell you what, if you're interested in seeing the evidence the ancient aliens were here, proper evidence, no one's debunked it, no one can, including the I person, go to my website, ourtruehistory.co.uk. So all you have to do, scroll down to where it says click here in big blue letters. That's all you have to do. You can do it on your phone, ourtruehistory.co.uk, scroll down, click here, sit back, watch that, and then go, wow, this guy's covered absolutely everything. I'll follow him, he's a genius, or something like that, insert your own words. William has wrote, hi William, nice of you to join. Ian's Gunners wrote, we're all looking for the truth, but yeah, totally agree. Hopefully. The Iad wrote, may you speak on the topic of the ancient aliens, so call it. And then wrote, and once again, they like being called ETs. Hang on, so you're saying the Anunnaki like being called ETs? Their race name is gods. They literally write that everywhere in ancient tablets. So you're telling me that they'd rather be called, instead of called gods and lords, which is what they called themselves in the ancient tablets, 2 million of Sumerian tablets alone, are you telling me they prefer to be called ETs than gods? Even though they tell us that they're gods? I don't know about that. My spider senses are saying that doesn't seem right. And then the I had put not aliens, so I'm guessing you're saying that there is no such thing as aliens because you wanted to come up and debunk me. So I tell you what, to the eye, just explain why we've got 2 fused chromosomes. I love doing this. It's great. Explain why we've got 2 fused chromosomes done in a laboratory setting. And then once you realise that you can't, yeah. The brother Donix has wrote, the truth doesn't need anything added to it. It just stands as true. Brandy Price has wrote, everyone needs to do their own research. I thought it was all crazy at first, but there was too much evidence. Well done, Brandy. I totally agree. I always say do your own. Yeah, well done. I'll tell you what, go number 3 in the class for that. Well said. And then the I person has wrote, what? And then wrote, woke. And then, but there is a person on here called Woke, so, and maybe he's talking to him. Ian Davis, different person from the other Ian, has wrote, was the recent eclipse Planet X? It would, well, Planet X would go between the Sun and Earth, at some point, at one point or another, because I would imagine. I would imagine. But the problem is, if it would need to be Earth-sized, because unless it was further away, then it would be... But wasn't people watching the moon before it went in front? Surely you'd see that it looked like a moon as opposed to a planet. You know, with high-powered telescopes, you'd see sort of the greyness as opposed to a planet. So I would imagine it was the moon. Scrolling down. People chat to each other. This is live. I read every single question out. The Ayad wrote, you mean Enlil and Enki. I'm slightly behind, but yeah, I was referring to them earlier. The Ayad wrote, I'm asking a simple question, speak about the aliens simple. Someone's getting a little bit annoyed there. I have been talking about them. Hopefully you've heard me because I'm behind on the messages. Then the Ayah's put Davies wrote, Giggy in a bit. No long 5 light years be back. Do you mean the Ajiji? No long 5 light years to be back. I'm not sure what that means, sorry. The Ayers wrote, put remote view in his ESP to put it simple. Of course, yeah, extrasensory perception, I would agree with that. Ian Gunners wrote, CE5 Doctor is Stephen Greer. Yeah, I know he takes people out, like I was saying right at the beginning when someone first mentioned CE5, I mentioned Stephen Greer. Dr. Stephen Greer. Ian Davies has wrote, I've seen bright diamond-shaped UFO years ago travelling down the valley. Interesting. Do you think it was bright because the sun was shining off of it? C5 the Ayers wrote, C5 was created by Stephen Greer and a few group of individuals that part on the CE5 program. Yeah, I'm aware of that. Phrase wrote, Sir's too kind. Thank you, Frey. That's very nice of you. Ayers wrote, Enlil spliced animal DNA with other animals until he got it right and created a human. Well, unfortunately, we actually have the original tablets, which doesn't say that. So I don't know. I'd probably go wherever you got that from. I would go with the original tablet. So if you're interested in seeing the original tablet translations, just type in Enki and Nimna, all one word. Well, space, or just Enki and Nimna. First thing that comes up is the translations of the tablets. Now, it doesn't actually say anything about many different alien animals, as you say, because you wrote with other animals plural. Doesn't say anything at all like that. It basically says that there's a creature here on Earth that's bipedal and that they can use. So I'm not sure where you got that from. Again, don't hate me for doing my homework. Some people do dislike me for pointing out where they're wrong, because they may have listened to someone that they like and heard something, and then they got that in their head and they go around regurgitating that, and then when finally someone comes along with evidence and points to the evidence, they then dislike that person, which is very sad. So please don't dislike me for pointing out evidence. The Ayers wrote, Enki got so-called mad Enlil as well as the Anunnaki. I'm trying to see the next bit. There's no next bit to it. The Ayers then wrote, and Thoth speaks about the Anunnaki. I'm not going to go there. Ian Davies wrote, are schizophrenic people picking up voices from other dimensions? Well, there are actual proper cases where people have had their brains split in half and actually have twin personalities. In other words, genuinely split personalities as a real thing. So with that in mind, it's totally possible that their brain may not have formed correctly, in which case they're hearing themselves talk. When you say from another dimension, I always worry about when people say another dimension, because it's possible that another dimension is just the other end of our universe. You know, people use the word other dimension simply because, it's a good one, but we don't know that there's not another dimension, but we do know there's probably way out there in our universe somewhere that's totally looks different to what we imagine, like Star Trek Next Generation, you know, shows where no man has gone before. So, you know, where your thoughts can, you know, suddenly pop and become reality. So, you know, who's to say that we're not getting signals from there as opposed to another dimension? Because everyone seems to jump to the other dimension instead of thinking, hang on a minute, this universe is freaking big. Why can't it be here in our universe? So I'm just pointing that out. I'm not knocking you. I'm just saying it's. So schizophrenic is a real thing, but yeah, I mean, it's possible that people get mixed up with that, or are actually receiving messages from spirit world. Nikki's wrote, we don't call him the world's greatest researcher for no reason. Stick around, and you were like, oh, bless you, Nikki. The Eyes wrote the Emerald Tablets. I'm fully aware of the Emerald Tablets. I've actually worked out stuff that no one else has worked out on the Emerald Tablets, and I give I do long videos on that if you're interested in actually learning stuff. Ian Davies wrote, are spirits and ghosts people lapping this dimension for another? Again, going back to the old dimensions, just because a spirit disappears, for example, doesn't mean it goes to another dimension. It could just be disappearing into a quantum entanglement, and before you know it, it's over the other side of the universe and not necessarily in another dimension. But let's go back to your question. Are spirits and ghosts people lapping this dimension for another? So spirits, from my research, is an orb. Orbs can be seen with certain equipment, such as night vision cameras, etc. They can blink out and they can float around. When they blink out, are they going to another dimension? We don't know. Could they be still in this universe and dimension? Yes, because we know this one exists because we're here. So it's hard to know where they go, but whether there's another dimension, to answer that one, I'm sorry. It's too difficult to answer because we don't know that there's a second dimension. Implant Bangers wrote, we're all here on borrowed time, one car accident away from torturous life, thanks to a surgeon. Hopefully that's not you, speaking from experience. Hopefully that's not. Ian Davies wrote, I heard Nikola Tesla received signals from the Black Knight. That's why, I don't know if you heard me earlier, that's why I said we have to rule that out from Nikola Tesla, that people said, and ham radios, etc., because Nikola Tesla received or purportedly received radio signals not from Earth. But we can't say that 100% that they're from. This is why I do everything with as best evidence as I can. We can't say that was from the Black Knight satellite. It could have been from a UFO. It could have been from another planet. So we can't say 100% his signals came from the Black Knight satellite, unless he got a message saying this is the Black Knight satellite or this is a thing in polar orbit. We don't know. So all we can do is say Nikola Tesla received some radio sounds that he believed weren't from Earth, and all we can say is that there is an object in a polar orbit. We can't connect the two. If you do, or any researcher does, then they're bad researchers. You can't. You need evidence, and there's no evidence to connect the two. It's not to say they're not, but anyone that tells you that he definitely got it from the Black Knight satellite, he wouldn't know where it come from. He wouldn't have said, "Oh yeah, it's the old Black Knight satellite," because no one knew about the Black Knight satellite. So any person that says they got a message, including the Y-Files, yes, I have watched his one on that. Just take with a pinch of salt. All Energies wrote, what role do you see the Anunnaki playing in today's world? So I think they created the Vatican. The pine cones out the front matches the pine cone in the carvings. So basically the Anunnaki are probably still here, probably dealing with according to whistleblowers that I've heard say that they have seen Anunnaki in one of the military rooms. So they're probably dealing with our military still, and probably somewhat in control of us. History and Coins wrote, I have checked 90% of his research until I became very unwell. I've never found any errors. Thank you, History and Coins. Very nice of you to say, even though the other day I did cock up. I have to be more careful to make sure I don't do that again. History and Coins wrote, I'm going to bed now. Hopefully I can... Oh, thank you very much for taking the time to join. Just scrolling down. Kerry's wrote, I got second in the class. That was when it was pinned up. Ian Gunners wrote, my profile being small and containing nothing about radio doesn't suggest it might be before TikTok. No, I know it doesn't. But it was very nice that Nikki took the initiative to check that out. It was an interesting thing that she done. I mean, it's the sort of thing I would have done, so you can't blame her. Ian Gunners wrote, can anyone see my typing about Christian O'Brien? Do you mean when you say Christian O'Brien? Do you mean because there's a guy called the guy that looks at the stones in the pyramids and stuff? What's his name? O'Brien. Brian Forrester. No, different person. Sorry. Nikki's wrote, oh, a gold star. I'm going to show it off all night now. Bless you. Oh, she's even put a little picture of a gold star. Brilliant. EU Sunt, sorry, has wrote 189 members on the team. Oh, sorry, that's TikTok saying EU Stunt. Sorry. Ian Gunners put laughing faces. Hopefully that was something funny. I said, Canucks wrote, I read a couple of days ago that Thoth was Jesus. Yeah, he's not. No, Thoth was... No, I know people change their names, but Thoth would have been Ningazida, and Ningazida would have been Hermes, and loads of other names in different places. So for him to have wandered round saying, hey, follow my brother, Marduk, not going to happen. So wherever you got that from, ignore that, because Ningazida was Marduk's brother, and Marduk ended up being the main god. So time check 10 p.m. Wow, okay, I'm going to have to shoot in a sec. Russell's wrote, is the moon hollow? It's been hollowed out because of mining by Nazis, aliens, and Americans. So if you think it's a spaceship, just read the tablets in the British Museum called the Enumeration, which tells us how the moon got there, as well as other tablets as well, plenty of other tablets, but I'm using that one. So the moon was here when Earth was here, so that ends it being a spaceship. David Boys wrote, David Icke. Yeah, David Icke is good at modern conspiracies, brilliant at modern conspiracies. When it comes to ancient aliens, ignore him. And I mean that with all due respect, ignore him, because he said the Anunnaki were reptilians, and we've got carvings of them. They're not freaking... They've got tens of thousands of carvings of the Anunnaki. They're not reptilian. So, and he based that off of 2 statues when we've got tens of thousands of statues, and 2 statues were just squash statues out of clay. So, David Icke is great at modern conspiracies. Anything old, ignore, come follow me. I won't lie to you. Scrolling down, L Blockers right. I appreciate all the work you do, and I'm now so glad you love to do it, teacher. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I get a kick out of it, but thank you. That's nice of you to say. Troy's wrote, love it. Oh, bless you. Thank you. David Boyes wrote, was Gigi a feint, or was the lion just small? Saw a picture of him holding a cat lion. Oh, Enki, I'm guessing you mean. Was Enki a giant? Ah, right, okay, I've got it. Sorry, yeah. Enki was 8 to 12 foot tall, regardless of whether or not the Y-Files said 12 to 15 foot, I think he said, tall. So ignore that, because the doorways are 15 foot tall, so, and they wore hats, so they would have been... So the Y-Files is just basically made up an hour's worth of baloney. Absolutely ridiculous. So I'm going to have to definitely do a video tomorrow on that. Doctors wrote, yeah, so they were tall. That's why you've seen them holding a lion. In fact, if you look at many of the statues, you'll see, for example, Inanna standing on a lion or putting a foot on a lion. They're freaking huge. The Anunnaki compared to us. Docker has wrote, could Abraham, Ismail, and Isaac be a retelling of Anu, Enki, and Enlil regarding mothers being half sisters? So the Anunnaki, pretty much all of them bred with everyone. They're sisters and half sisters and stuff. Even the Egyptians, even the Greeks, I think even the Romans. So you can't put that down to. I mean, Enki bred with his daughter, his daughter's daughter, his daughter's daughter's daughter, daughter's daughter. I've read the freaking tablet out. It's disgusting. So you can't connect them based off of them breeding with their half sisters and stuff like that. So yeah, unfortunately, fair question. But unfortunately, you can't do that. Troy had wrote, "What's your thoughts on David Icke?" Hopefully, you heard me a minute ago. Doc has wrote, Enki and Ishmael being illegitimate and Enlil and Isaac being born royal mothers. Yeah, like I say, the Enki fathered so many, and even King Anu had more children on their home planet and stuff. So no, I wouldn't have said you could connect that way. I mean, if you keep looking and you find other connections, then that's brilliant. But as it stands alone, I don't think you could connect them. Canucks wrote, I'd like to see Sir have a spiritual, some word that I can't pronounce, experience, then come chat. I don't know what that word is. I can't even pronounce it. Sorry. I'm terrible at pronunciations. Vias wrote 11 minutes past 10. Wow, is it that late? My boy's still up. He's off school tomorrow. So Repent has wrote, Jesus loves you, man. Turn from these meaningless things. Would you like to see... Now, I can give you pretty much evidence on who Jesus' real father was. Hopefully you're listening. I've done a video on it. If anyone's interested, just go to my website, outruehistory.co.uk, type in Jesus in the top search bar, scroll down to the one that says who Jesus' real father is. Go watch that with evidence. Now, I'm glad Jesus loves me because his father Marduk, with evidence, I did feel sorry for Marduk. But anyway, so could you show me who Jesus' real father was? So basically, my evidence versus any evidence that you have, and I mean proper evidence, like mine is. Mine's like serious amount of evidence. But yeah. I always struggle with Jesus because if he was from an almighty being, why didn't the almighty being put more than one down? Because there was humans all over the planet. Did he expect Jesus to run around the planet and jump on aeroplanes that weren't there and fly to another place and explain everything about God? You see my point? It just doesn't work. Whereas my version with the evidence matches perfectly. And I think the thing is with people, the religious people, that don't understand that Amen is actually Amen. That's actually the same name. People don't realise that. And of course, when you realise that Marduk was Amen Ra and Aten, and then you realise he was also Amen, you say, hang on a minute, this damn researcher's probably the world's best, and that's why he's got expert in the background. Thank you very much for saying so. Just watch my videos, you'll see the evidence. I won't mess around. There's no point in messing around. Docos wrote, what is the place to read scholar translations of Sumerian mythology? Sadly, they're all over the place. Literally, they're everywhere. They're in museums, in universities. They're all over the place. So, if you want starting blocks of where correct information is that's proven that the Anunnaki's texts are real and genuine and stuff, Watch my video, because I tell you where I'm getting. As the video goes through, I point to, oh, it's here in the British Museum. It's here, so I point to all the translations and where the tablets are, etc. So that's on my website, ourtruehistory.co.uk. Scroll down to where it says click here in big blue. That's all you have to do. Two things. My website, scroll down, click here in big blue, and I point out to the tablets. And once you start learning where these tablet translations are, I have got them on my Patreon page as well, links to them as well if anyone is interested. It's free of charge. You just have to go to the info page on my Patreon page. Yeah, then you realise, okay, so the British Museum's got that, the Louvre's got that, the Oxford University's got that, and so on and so on and so on. But there's a lot. They're all over the place. Literally every museum seems to have lots of different versions of it. Coppers wrote, that's right, it's all in your thoughts. Not sure what that's referring to. Sorry, I'm slightly behind. Red Indians wrote, I captured invisible orbs via infrared cameras, and they look like butterflies and flying around fast. Interesting. Yeah, people do capture them on security cameras. There's one brilliant one by a pastor who caught on his security camera a big orb, fairly big orb coming towards the camera, and it splits into two, but both equal size, and they both go off different directions. And that mental. Anxieties wrote, we live in a matrix. Too late for me to go into detail on that one, although Kerry's asked for evidence of that one. Anxieties wrote, yes, we live in a scripted world. Our lives are coded. And Kerry's still asking for the evidence. And then Anxieties wrote, well, I code sports through geometry, and it's all coded. So in other words, Anxiety's got no evidence, but because they do something, therefore they believe it's real. That doesn't actually constitute evidence. Sorry, Anxiety, don't hate me for that. And then Anxiety wrote, follow Jesus. Can't really do that, he died. And then even if he did come back to life, he's up on probably Nibiru by now, or I doubt if they would have took him to Nibiru. They probably would have moved him somewhere else. I mean, looking at the logic from that, if he had died, they may have just, because he was a hybrid, Marduk may have just moved his body. Who's to say he came back anyway? That needs to be, did anyone see him walking around after? And if so, why wasn't he then captured again? So did he live to old age? Yeah, I need to reread the Bible for that. There's some logic going awry there. Anxieties wrote, well, I have a lot of knowledge. Your life is coded like I predicted my heart happening. Okay, so you're saying that you somehow saw the code, read the code, understood the code of your life, and predicted it. There's people out there that predicted the 9/11. So did they see code, or was they privy to future events just because spirits that join with them, because they have no form, in other words, no mass, and because obviously E equals MC squared, therefore they can time travel these orbs, which is why when we have clairvoyants telling us, oh, you're going to meet a person in the future, or I've seen, the spirit saying, I saw you put your mother's ring on, or and things like that. So they obviously can time travel. So which one would you go with? The clairvoyants that tell us why and things that happen, or your thoughts that because you code, therefore we're all in a matrix? I'll go with the clairvoyants and the spirits on that one. Gen Xers wrote, which Anunnaki is the Statue of Liberty? I will do a video on it. Supposedly it's Inanna, which wouldn't surprise me, to be honest with you, knowing Inanna. Anxieties wrote, numbers are powerful. Words are powerful as well. The Anunnaki did do some sort of hexes and curses and chants. Doctors wrote, thanks mate for your answers. You're more than welcome. I read every single question out, even if it means I'm sitting here way past my boy's bedtime. Anxieties wrote, well, yes, but guess the world is corrupted. All sports are rigged and scripted. Doesn't mean we're in... So if sports are rigged, it's rigged by humans, not rigged by the programmer. So if they're rigged, in other words fixed, then that would be by people. So I'm guessing you're saying that those people are programmed to fix the sports matches. For what purpose? For the person that's sitting there with the computer code staring at us doing our little Sims impressions. Yeah, see, I can't see that. Sorry. Canucks Rose used in spiritual ceremonies. I don't know what I was talking about at that point. Sorry. Anxieties wrote, yes, they can if they're scripted. It's all God's work and God wins. But the gods were the Anunnaki. We've got 2 million Sumerian tablets alone, let alone Akkadian, Syrian, etc., where they call themselves gods. So you're telling me that the creators of our program jumped in with us and decided, yeah, see, it falls apart again. Red Indians wrote, wow, I'll take almost 4 years to watch all of your videos if you watch 2 videos a day. People, trust me, people have said to me, they've stayed up all night and binge watched my videos. Because once you start, they're only a minute long on the TikTok ones. The longer documentaries obviously are not TikTok style, but the TikTok style ones only a minute long generally. And before you know it, because I'm just giving information out with evidence, before you know it, hours and hours have passed according to people. So start now, start now, and I'll talk to you in 4 years. Nikki's wrote, I can answer that, sir. He rose from the grave and he was in a new body. I had to prove who he was. Then he ascended up to heaven later on. See, thank you for that, Nikki. So he was in a new body. So in other words, someone could have pretended they were him. Would you not agree? I mean, someone could have. That's. And so he would have had to have proved that he was him. But what benefit was there to prove that he was him? Because all he's doing is proving to a handful of people, not the whole planet. In fact, the rest of the planet probably had no idea who he was, which was a really bad move on God's part because it didn't do a very good job. I would have put one down on... In fact, I would have made people eat all fruits and no animals killed other animals as a god. And I would have put more than one Jesus kicking around. So, yeah, see, the whole, yeah, that's why I don't read after what happened to Jesus, after he was born. Anxieties wrote, who say Earth is not a time machine? I don't know where that suddenly come from. We was talking about Matrix and now it's a time machine. Who says Earth is not a time machine? I don't know anyone that said it was a time machine, so I don't know how to answer that. It's like we said, who said, cats don't fly? I don't know. No one's ever said it. Nikki's wrote, Jesus is Archangel Michael in the true form and then had 2 human forms. Yeah, I'm glad I don't read after he was born. Nikki's right, I have no idea where Jesus got the second body from a full-grown man. Yeah. Canucks wrote, TikTok removed my first part of the comment. How Uska. I don't know what Ayahuasca is, sorry. The Big Thoth has wrote, what race did the Anunnaki look like? Not colour but features. We've got tens of thousands of carvings of them, genuinely tens of thousands of carvings of them, and they look like humans. We're in their image. It says it in the Bible, it says it in the tablets. Go look the tablets, Enki and Nimna up, you'll see that they created us. So yeah, they look like us. or we look like them, and they had beards. Generally, the elder ones had beards, the Ajiji. The younger ones, forget what the Y-files made up, the baloney made up. They were the younger ones. If you want evidence of all of everything that I'm saying, including the images of the Anunnaki because of the carvings, it's on my website. There's a video called The Lost Book of Our True History, which I made. With evidence, it's an amazing video, trust me. So all you have to do is go to ourtruehistory.co.uk, scroll down to where it says click here. That's all you have to do. And then it's all good. Jude has wrote, Earth is a spaceship. I would disagree with that because it's either broke and not really going anywhere other than round and round. And yeah, that doesn't make sense. Nikki's wrote, Sir, I wasted my life studying the Bible for years. So that's obviously, that's how you could give me that answer very quickly. Well done. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know you watch my videos, and obviously I don't know how you must feel, as you say, for years reading the Bible and then seeing physical tablets that predate the Bible that says the same things that your Bible said. How do you feel? I mean, it must be... Do you feel happy? Do you feel sad? Do you feel... I mean, as you wrote there, wasted life. Do you feel like the people that forced you, did they force you into reading the Bible? Did you do it by choice? Canucks wrote, Anunnaki is a drink in South Africa used in spiritual ceremonies. Okay, no wonder why I didn't know it. Thank you for that. Anxieties wrote, give me your proof in what you think follow Jesus. Give me your proof in what you think follow Jesus. I can only give you the video that I've done with the evidence that says who I believe Jesus' real father is. So if you're interested in that, all you have to do is go to my website. It's on YouTube, but it's easier just to find this way. And type in Jesus on the search bar. Scroll down to the one that says who Jesus' real father is. If you are religious, you won't want to watch it because it basically tells you with evidence that that you're not gonna. Please don't watch it if you're religious because you'll be upset and sad and you'll be angry at me, and I don't want you to be angry at me. Nikki's wrote, I was a Christian, then a Jehovah Witness, and now I'm a glorified foul basket carrier. That's brilliant. I love that. Wow, you're a Jehovah Witness as well. Jeez. And then Nikki's wrote, I feel incredibly lied to. Well, the thing is, do you think that they knew what they was talking about? Do you think they knew the answers before they sent you off on your merry way? Snowbird has put hearts. Oh, bless you. Thank you very much, Snowbird. I don't recall seeing your name, so thank you. Genexus wrote, do you think Earth is protected by the Council of Aliens because Marduk or Anunnaki made a deal? So, I've heard back in the 80s, as Genexus knows, because I've probably said it a few times, that back in the 80s, because I've been doing this for 40 odd years, back in the 80s I heard that there's a Council of Aliens that have put quarantine around Earth. In other words, another alien race can't come in and bomb us and stuff like that. There's a way around that, and that's by what they did with the treaty, with the Grenada Treaty with President Eisenhower. So they got round the quarantine because of that. Now they've just done a deal direct with us, and therefore they can't interfere in the way that they would have been allowed to interfere. They can just get away with it. So Gen X is asking a really good question. Go number one in the class tonight for that. I don't think ever got to number one tonight. So he's asking, do I think the Council of Aliens that protect Earth or stop any other races all just abusing us is anything to do with the Anunnaki? And it's a bloody good question. So I think they may have this is just my gut feeling. I think they may have a seat on that council now, because obviously they have a vested interest in Earth because we're technically their, whatever you want to call us, cousins, slaves, whatever. So I would imagine they're on the seat of the council now. Plus they're a space race, whereas we're not really a space race. So, yeah, I don't think they would have the full pull because they don't have all the technology that some of these other aliens have got. So, but I do think they would probably have a seat on the council, if that's okay. And anxiety's right. Don't get angry. Knowledge is the key to life. Brilliant, brilliant, cool, great answer that one. Well done. Nikki's right. I felt very naughty when I bought the Book of Enoch. I remember feeling like a grown horn, like a grew horns. Oh, like a devil. Oh, right, okay. You feeling like you grew horns. Ah, brilliant. Yeah, God, I can't imagine how you must have felt. And the thing is, genuinely, as you know, it's not just Sitchin making it up. You watch my videos, I point to museums reading out the same things. Big Thoffers wrote, I know you're not in the US, but that eclipse was not the moon. Any ideas? In Indiana, see totality. I don't know. I didn't look. I've never seen. I thought nothing happened, so I've not looked up and saw pictures or videos or anything. So I will do that tomorrow. So I can't answer that at the moment. Yeah, it's hard for me to say. Sorry. Nikki's wrote, still live my life as a good woman regardless, still believe in the creator of all, which could be an energy source. That's true. Nikki wrote, somewhere out there is the king atom wearing a crown. Fair enough, that makes sense. And then wrote, I'm joking. No, you could be right for all we know. Okay, so I've actually caught up, and I just one more time then sorry, Troy's right, I burned my eye looking at the eclipse, wouldn't recommend it. Oh God, no you didn't, did you? Oh, it's the first warning. Always, wear, protective or generally look at it from a reflection. Normally, I thought they used to do. Junex has wrote, thanks for your live. And Nikki's wrote, thank you for Sarah and mods for a brilliant night. Oh, thank you, Jan, Kerry, and whoever else is modding tonight. Thank you very much. So just to let everyone know, I do have a website with all my videos. If you don't think I know what I'm talking about, just hear me out for a second, guys. All you have to do is, when I finish this live, make yourself a cup of tea, then click my profile picture. Follow me, click my profile picture, and then click on the video that says about Atlantis. Watch that. Now, I know you've probably heard so many other stories about where Atlantis is. Watch mine. You will be blown away, because I actually have a city that's sunken, that was in concentric circles, that matches everything. So first of all, I'm the only one that's done that. So once you realise that, hey, this guy's pretty good, then all you have to do is go to my website, altruhistory.co.uk. You can watch loads of TikTok videos if you want. But to watch the one that proves that the Bible is talking about the Anunnaki, scroll down on my homepage, altruhistory.co.uk, to where it says in big blue letters, click here. Watch that. Once you've watched that, you're going to say, wow, what else can this guy do? Go to my Patreon page, free of charge, patreon.com/OurTrueHistory, or just search Our True History. Click on collections, click on free. Watch the hour-long flood documentary. Blow your mind. Unlike any others. Once you've watched those, hopefully you'll want to watch everything else and enjoy it all. So thank you very much. Let's not as wrote, thanks for the discussion, sir. Good night. You're more than welcome. Thank you very much. Troy's wrote, have a good night as well. Thank you, Troy. Big Thoffers wrote, you're brilliant. I started on Billy Carson, found you, no more Billy. Thank you, Big Thoff. Do you know that means you'd have no idea how much that means to me, because as you know, Billy just talks and I point. So it's really nice to hear that, because obviously what I'm doing is slowly paying off. So thank you. That I mean that from the bottom of my heart. That's really nice to hear. Curly's wrote Fab Live. Oh, thank you for even listening in. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to let you guys go and do something more important. And remember, I've got 1,000+ TikTok videos. I've got website. I've got live chats on the website. I've got links to what books I think are really good. And then I have a Patreon page where I've covered where I've solved. I know it sounds stupid, but I have. Where I've solved Stonehenge, where I've solved who Jesus' father was, who Yahweh was, who El was, who Asherah was, where Garden of Eden was, why Adam and Eve was on a spaceship for 24 years, all and so much more. Honestly, go watch it. Who the Norse gods were in Sumerian, done that. What the frost giant was, done that. Been there, done that. Honestly, go watch it. If you think I'm wrong, please let me know. But I do show evidence. Kerry's right. Thanks to all for participating. Thank you as well, Kerry. Without you, I would be lost. Snowbirds wrote, what's the video you recommended to watch on your website again, please? So just go to my website, ourtruehistory.co.uk, scroll down to where it says in big blue letters, click here. That is a video proving the Anunnaki were the gods in the Bible. So when you're talking about any god in the Bible, regardless of whether it's Yahweh, Jehovah, El, anything, it's the Anunnaki. And I proved that. I proved they were aliens. I proved they were here. I proved the Ajiji were on Mars. I proved that they came here. They took human women. I proved that they genetically modified humans. And I proved in the amazing flood video that's free of charge on my Patreon. You can get to everything on my website, honestly. And then, enjoy. Snowbirds with the dinosaurs. The dinosaur one is on my Patreon page, where I show evidence of the carvings of dinosaurs that shouldn't be there because no one put skeletons together and stuff like that back then. Paul's wrote, what do you know about the references to other tablets that haven't been found yet? Not a lot, because technically they haven't been found yet, so we wouldn't really know of them, so I shouldn't know any references to them, because if we're unaware of them, what I probably can tell you is for every tablet that we're told that they found, they've probably hid, and not translated or not told us the translation of other tablets, because obviously the only reason why we've got all the information we've got now is because these were translated. This is why it wasn't Zachariah Sitchin. This is why the Y files is completely wrong. Because these tablets were translated back as far back as 1900. So this is before the elites realised what's going on and then bought up museums, etc., and funded them and Christ knows what to get their sticky mitts on these evidence. So luckily the main tablets were translated before the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds and everything got their grubby hands on them. Snowbird's right, I found it, thank you. Enjoy it. Technically, without sounding rude, it's 3 hours long. The version you're watching is 34 minutes long. If you want to watch the 3 hours, the rest is on my Patreon page. You've got to imagine how long it takes me to find all the evidence and everything else. It's not, for a couple of pounds on the Patreon page, plus you get another 150 odd long documentaries, and more added every single week. This week's going to be Ragnarok, showing actually what Ragnarok from the Norse mythology would be, as best as I can with evidence that no one else will ever come close to. So, yeah, so unfortunately, but 34 minutes will prove that the Anunnaki were here, no problem at all. And if you want to watch the remaining hours worth, it's on my Patreon page, just a couple of pounds. Okay, and on that bombshell, I'm going to shoot now. Thank you very much, guys, and thank you, Gardena, that's very nice of you. You're more than welcome. Thank you. All right, guys. I'll talk to you again very, very soon. Bye. Bye.